It's loud. Welcome to the world of Q&A, sir, where my OST is too loud and needs minor adjustment. So, my headphones need turning down. My channel has been slightly rebranded. We're on the new Game On Acer channel. It's the same channel as it was. I've just slightly changed the words around a little bit. It's the Game On Acer channel. This is Q&A, sir. I've said my name too much and I don't like the sound of it anymore. We're going to talk about all of the games and all of the topics. Fun story. Typically on a Thursday, like sometime before the show, I scramble around and I put together like some vague notes for myself to go over the topics so that as the show goes on I don't lose track and we can keep some structure and actually get through things. And I did that today. I was quite thorough. I did quite a good list of topics. And then I didn't save it. I deleted it. It's gone. So who knows what we're going to talk about today? We'll improvise and it'll be great. Isla, Tony, Ricardo. Welcome people that are already here. I've not seen a wee from Painful Discourse. This hurts my soul. I shouldn't have changed the name of the channel. Patrick's here. Good. Patrick did suggest, I'm pretty sure it was Patrick that suggested Q and as a show without me, so I didn't have to turn up. Hardly any news. There's a fair few things around. I had I had quite a good list of topics. I'm sorry, Isla, you're yelling in capital letters about which document software I need to use and you're calling me a nerd. That's outrageous. I hope you can appreciate that you are the nerd. So it's Q&A, so we're going to run through it like normal. We've got various topics. The music's loud, isn't it? We've got various topics that we're going to run through. I'm going to nudge that down a little bit further. Quite a bit further. But before we do that, a word from our sponsor. If I press the right button, it's Game On Daily. It's a website, it's a platform, it's an aggregation doodad, and you can talk to people and have nice times. Give it, I don't know how long it's going to take. It's very difficult for us to get this thing moving, but the plans that we've got for this platform will send shockwaves through the industry. It's going to be a big deal if we can get things moving. So look forward to that. Let's start with some games. So you've already identified the background. It's quite an easy one today. It is Ghostwire Tokyo. Who's been playing it? It's been out for like a year on PlayStation. It has just come out on Xbox. It's been out for a year on PlayStation and PC, but it's just come out on Xbox Game Pass and it's moved on to PlayStation Plus. So you can play it on subscription services across any three of those platforms now. I haven't played it yet. If you have played it, you'll know that this scene here is literally the first moment that it gives you any control of the game. So you watch an open cutscene, it puts you here in the rain. That's as far as I've got in the game, which isn't strictly true. I moved a little further to capture this fancy umbrella, which if you look very closely has drips. It has drips running down it and stuff like that. It's very nice. Ricardo, you played it on the PlayStation. Wayne's here as well. People look at Ubisoft Plus on Xbox. We will get to that. First, we're going to talk about the games that we're playing. Unfortunately, because I lost my notepad that had all of my prompts and topics, I can't remember what I've been playing for the last week. It's very difficult. I've played a bit of Horizon Call of the Mountain, had a good time, hurt my nose. So I really need, for the PlayStation VR 2, I really need a facial cover. Normally when a VR headset comes out, you very quickly get replacement gaskets from the likes of VR Cover. They very, very quickly fix any problems that you have. They very quickly fix any problems, but for some reason there aren't any for the PlayStation VR 2 yet. And I have a problem where, because my nose has been broken a number of times, it's quite sharp just here. Quite sharp just here. So when the headset rests on it, which the PlayStation VR kind of does, it hurts. so I need that. No, Isla, I told you not to tell anyone the extent of it. Don't give it away. The extent of it did mark my face. It did break the skin on my nose. It's too late. It's out there now. So I need some cushioning on the PlayStation VR 2 to compensate for my terrible broken nose. But I have been playing Horizon Call of the Mountain. I do enjoy that game quite a lot. I am going to get to the end of it. It will be one of the first virtual reality games I actually see the end of, because I never get there. Don't forget our playtime, Tony. Oh yeah, but that was last week. You've missed the last... When was it, Tony? The passage of time is very confusing. It meanders all over the place. I didn't play with you yesterday. Anything like further back than yesterday gets very, very confusing. Isla, you did mention that your Minecraft Vault Hunters mod pack is inspired by Diablo, and why don't you just play Diablo? It's better, right? I'm assuming it's inspired by like the end game of Diablo with the way that the rifts and things are structured, which isn't a thing I've actually really done. So you have to explain to me where the inspiration comes from at some point, or what the similarities are, because I can't very easily pick them from what I've seen. Space Denizen, welcome. Rifts sounds familiar, yeah. Yeah, they're the treasure hunting end game, but I'm not a big end game fan, really. So I've got many characters up to that point and stopped playing because that's where my interest died. Boozy the Clown, welcome. Session right now, Dark Souls boarding. Resident Evil 4 is a bit good. Dark Souls boarding. Have you modded like a skateboard into Dark Souls? Or have you got a skateboard controller? Are you doing like, you know, those people do the dance mats and they try and beat all the Souls games on a dance mat, but you've got a skateboard. This is the story. This is my headcanon for the way that you're playing Dark Souls games now on a skateboard. Resident Evil 4 is a bit good, and you've been playing some Fallout 3 and Tabs, which is hilarious. Did they add the multiplayer into Tabs yet? MG, it's not dead. Redfall's not dead. We will talk about Redfall in a little bit. Of course, because it is a topic that came up very recently. We're in the end game now. So Diablo I played with Tony a little. I started a while back. It must have been the previous week. We must have talked about it last Thursday. I started Diablo hardcore runs. I lost 2 necromancers to my own inadequacies. Tony did contribute, but mostly to my own inadequacy. Then I started a barbarian who I very nearly lost twice on the last stream that I did. So barbarian Diablo 3 hardcore run is still going. I've also had, as a blessing for me, my family have got involved in Diablo 3. Or at least I think they have. They keep changing their minds. So we've been playing 4-player family Diablo 3, which, okay, we're not sitting on a couch playing together. It's not the return of couch co-op. We're all in our own rooms, like talking through microphones, which is perhaps a little bit strange, but it's brilliant. Do any of you play games with your family members? Like either family members that still live with you, or if your kids have moved out and stuff, do you have that as a connection? Do you still get to play games with your family members? Because that's a curious thing for me. That's an optimistic thing. I want to be able to do that with them. That will be great. Yeah, so as Q&A runs, we are going to get to the topics. I've still got some more games that I've played, but I'm going to stall for time when my brain plays back the week and remembers what I have and haven't played. So I'll go through the format of the show. Q&A, so you can comment here. We talk like we are. We're having a nice back and forth conversation, which I love. You can tell me how much you do or don't like Ghostwire Tokyo, because I'm still curious for feedback on that one. And any other games that you've been playing. At some point in the show, not too long away, the YouTube Q&A box will come up. That will allow you to put any must-see questions and comments in there. Stick a question in the Q&A box and I will address it one by one at the end of the show. So if you've got something that cannot be missed, stick it in there. And after we're finished talking about games and got some of the topics going, I will be opening up the Discord fun and games. So if you're sitting there in your finest suit and tie, you've got a camera ready and you want to present yourself to the world and ask a question or say something poignant on screen, you can do that. If you've just got a microphone and you want to speak some words to me and everybody watching, you can do that. The way to do it is to join the Game On Daily Discord. Isla, can you put a link in the chat, please? Join the Game On Daily Discord. On the left of the screen, you have the Q&A section of the server. You stick yourself in any one of the waiting rooms, and at an opportune moment, I will drag you into the live room and we can have a little chat just for a couple of minutes. Oh, I was going to set a timer up and I forgot. There's no timer, but it'll be a couple of minutes. Boozy the Clan, you're online with your brother. Ah, that's awesome. On Friday night, Forza Horizon Drunken Beer and Badger Forum regular night been going for years. It started off as a sentence and it trailed off into random words that don't necessarily go together. Beer and Badger Forum regular night. These are definitely English words. They don't mean anything. Eradication, welcome. Do you invest in a PlayStation VR 2 or sell your consoles and invest in a high-end PC to cover everything? That is a difficult question indeed. So Eradication, I do have a video. It's done actually. It's ready, but it's not been published yet because who knows where Gaz is. But I have a video. Who puts the brush upside down? Yeah, it was me. It was me. It's my broomstick. It's only as big as my hand now that you've mentioned it. I regret. More of a toothbrush. So everybody puts their toothbrush that way. Don't be weird. Eradication. So I have a video about the different kinds of virtual reality and which one you should get into. But what you're asking is a very difficult question because it depends. Sell stuff and go all in on PC. Like, you can get a better experience out of the PC, but it costs potentially unlimited amounts of money. The amount that you can potentially spend on a PC in order to get above the PlayStation VR 2 experience is wild. If you're not sure about VR, if you've not really tried it before, and you've got a PlayStation 5, PlayStation VR 2 is a good place to start. You can always sell it afterwards if you really decide you need to attain like something in the PC holy grail of it. Second-hand Oculus One. Which kind? Like a Quest 2 or something further back in time? And do you still have that Oculus Quest? Do you have a gaming PC already? So many questions, but it's kind of like spoiling the video, but one of the big, or the main conclusion of it is what kind of VR you step into should really be determined by which ecosystem you're already part of. If you've got the PC, if you've got the PlayStation 5 and so forth. It does go into it a little bit more. But yeah. Wayne, your daughter plays a lot of Crackdown 3, like the single player Crackdown 3, surely, right? Not the online mode, because she'd be playing that on her own, I think. I actually quite liked Crackdown 3 more than you were supposed to like it. Crackdown 3 was like a bit of a mess of a game, quite unambitious what they actually released. Ignoring the online and the cloud bit, the single player campaign of it was underwhelming in so many ways, and yet it was fun. As open worlds go, it managed to quite skillfully position all of the activities just close enough that it was fun to go around. This OST suddenly is just hurting my ears. It's unpleasant. I'm sorry if you can hear it. Okay, it's moved on. But nobody has identified it yet. I would have said the background today is pretty easy because it just came on Game Pass a couple of days ago. I like Rain. Oh, that's a good background. The OST is quite moderately difficult, I suppose, somewhere in the middle. So we'll wait and see. I think someone will get the OST. I think Space Denizen will get the OST, but we'll see as it goes. Eradication. With this gen's games being capped at 30 frames per second, you're thinking of going all in on PC, and then you'll get the best of Pancake and VR. Have you had experience of PC gaming before? That's a relevant question for you, because I know the grass is always greener on the other side, but PC gaming does have certain issues. Can you put rain sounds on in the background too? I could have done, should have done, but I can't at the moment. I'm busy. I'm on a show. I'm live on the internet right now. So next time, maybe I'll include some rain. I don't think the rain was particularly loud at this scene in the game, though. I think it had some music and stuff, so I couldn't record it directly. Boozy the Clown, try before you go heavy cash. Virtual reality has diminishing returns over time unless you keep investing. Partially agree. Definitely agree with the trying before you spend loads and loads on it. Diminishing returns, not so sure. Not so sure. I love my VR, so I'll have to think that one through. I'll have to think through the implications of it very carefully before I agree or argue with it. Patrick, Eradication. PC is a good route if spending money isn't a worry, because you'll easily spend more on a PC than all the consoles combined. That is very true, Patrick, but no matter how much you spend on the PC, it does also bring with it a little array of difficulties and issues that are unavoidable. The reputation around PC gaming being a little more complex is true to this day and will never not be. Wayne, single player. Don't forget she is autistic, just loves to drive around killing the baddies. See, I couldn't possibly forget that because I didn't know that. But that is, yeah, good. Like I say, I enjoyed Crackdown 3 more than I expected. JJ, welcome. A few names I haven't seen before coming along to see what we're doing here. That's good, that's nice. My channel rebrand is reaping massive dividends, right? Maybe. Or Isla's thumbnail is reaping massive dividends. It's all good. It's fine. My controversial Twitter takes, that's what's doing it. It's getting people here so they can argue with me. Which, by the way, you can do. If that's what you want to do on Discord, you can come in and say nasty things to me. I don't mind. I can mute you as soon as you upset me. It does sound familiar. Space Denizen's gonna arrive at the right conclusion at some point, unless somebody else pips him to it and gets there first. So, oh, Isla knew that, so I am just forgetting things. Well, maybe Isla, don't throw me under the bus like that. Probably some, so look up, so probably some console Series X2 or PlayStation Pro 5.5 soon, or PlayStation 5.5 soon. You reckon? So my theory on that, I'm not going to shift from what I anticipated, and that's that Xbox are more likely to do it than PlayStation, and I don't think PlayStation will. I don't think Xbox will either. I don't think that the timing economy, all of that kind of thing actually suits it very well, but I think it was probably part of Xbox's plans as of about 4 years ago. So we shall see, right? We shall see. What would you want though, Luap Nitsua? What would you want of a next-gen console? What would you hope that it delivered that the current ones can't? Don't say Redfall at 60 frames per second, because I've already said that. It's a good answer. Crackdown 3 was just a massive video game. All the work was put into the gameplay, which was great fun. Yeah, it wasn't well received. The problem with Crackdown 3 obviously was the like grand promises around it. Microsoft and their power of the cloud tech demos implied that it could be something more than it was. What came out was relatively conservative, typical video game, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Like, I had fun, even if I would have liked to have seen a proper cloud-powered destruction showcase. Coffee is right, Kratos. Welcome. To bring back Snap, if that's what it's called. You want a next-gen console so that you can pin... What would you snap? Like your TV, your YouTube? Not game guides, JJ. Don't tell me you're going to snap some game guides. Zumo did a good Rush job. Boosie the Clown, Crackdown 3 was in development for like 100 years. I'm not sure Rush job covers it entirely, but yeah, it did shift from studio to studio, person to person. Rescued by Halo guy whose name I've temporarily forgotten, Joe Staten. Rescued Crackdown 3 before going on to rescue Halo Infinite, before going on to wherever he's headed off to next. Luap Nitsua, just games running smoothly and making the most of the available hardware. That would be... I mean, most games run smoothly now, right? What games don't run smoothly? Unless you're talking like well over the 60 frames, if you're talking more consistent 120 kind of job. But that would be a difficult selling point, because a lot of people don't even understand that stuff exists. I don't know. The Xbox One X came about for many reasons, because Microsoft had screwed the pooch, as they say, with the Xbox One. They were in a disastrous situation and they needed to rectify it. So that one had multiple reasons for coming about, but the PlayStation 4 Pro was very specifically a console that existed to take care of 4K TVs, because the hardware had fallen behind the displays and the displays were getting some real steam. There's not an equivalent technology for them to catch up to at the moment. Luap Nitsua, are you just like, you want entire next-gen consoles just because of Redfall and Gotham Knights, or are there many other games that have hurt you with their 30 frames per second? Or are you anticipating that the new wave of like Unreal Engine 5 games and things like that are all going to struggle? 8K on PlayStation 5, woohoo. There will... Yes, Tony, 8K is not attainable on hardware that they were to put out. If they were to do a Pro console this year, next year, 8K is like 4 times more resolution than 4K, and no, not going to happen. But I like your thinking, Tony. I know that you're talking about it being on the box. There's a state of play on Final Fantasy 16 in about 27 minutes. I used to adore Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 7 was my Final Fantasy initialization. That's not the word. Fuck, words escape out of my ear. They're trapped in the headphones somewhere. You know what I mean. It was the one that introduced me to the series. I loved Final Fantasy 7 a lot. Final Fantasy 8, I think I would probably really like it if I went back to it, but I didn't much like it at the time. I really enjoyed the first 2 discs, and it has this like really distinct moment at the end of disc 2 where you're like, you could have written that to be the end of the entire game, but you felt the need to do 2 more discs, didn't you? And they introduced a time witch. So Final Fantasy 8, I think I would like it if I went back, but it was disappointing as a follow-on from 7. Final Fantasy 9 was better than 8, not as good as 7. Final Fantasy 10 was good, like almost as good as 7. Then they went online with 11, which was probably good, but I didn't really play it much. It was pretty ugly. It was a PlayStation 3 online game. Then they did 12, which was where they really started trying to deviate away from the Final Fantasy formula. They decided the world doesn't want Final Fantasy anymore. They want something more unusual. They need to break down what the game is and deliver something new. And Final Fantasy 12, I played for about 5 minutes and went, what? This is weird. And then forgot to play it again. So of all the Final Fantasy games available, the one I most need to play is 12, because I never have to any like serious degree. 13 got lambasted because it also pursued action and was very linear for the first 80-90% of the game, and very different to previous Final Fantasies. So yeah, that got battered and probably deserved it. It had the single most annoying character in any game ever in Riku. Terrible voice, at least if you had the English voice acting. I don't know how it was in Japanese or anything like that. And then came 14 online. World of Warcraft reskin, didn't enjoy it. Terrible opening to that game. I like MMORPGs, but I don't particularly like World of Warcraft, so I didn't particularly like Final Fantasy 14, although people say it's brilliant now in terms of actually telling a decent story and all the rest of it. Then came 15, which tried to be a Ubisoft game. Kind of sucked as a result. So am I looking forward to Final Fantasy 16? It's still a Final Fantasy game. I've still played all of them. I still clearly keep track of the series. I still am definitely going to play Final Fantasy 16. The trailer that they showed at the Game Awards did something right. It was a very good trailer, but the game does not look anything like a Final Fantasy game. Still, are we going to watch at 10 o'clock the Final Fantasy State of Play? So it is a state of play. It is specifically 20 minutes of Final Fantasy 16 gameplay. And typically for myself, if I've already decided that I'm going to play a game, as I have for Final Fantasy 16, as I would for something like God of War, Ragnarok and whatever, I do my best to avoid seeing like trailers and gameplay and stuff. Like, I'm already getting the game. You can't sell it to me, so all you're going to do is spoil it and make it less fun at the time. But I'm not a selfish arsehole, and on the off chance that you good people might actually want to see that, I'm going to put it on in the background, have it there, have it playing, so that you don't leave me in favour of Final Fantasy 16. Right, so at about 10 o'clock, please do remind me if I forget. Thing is starting now. I will bring it up and we'll carry on talking about whatever with 20 minutes of Final Fantasy in the background. It is literally, the state of play is just Final Fantasy 16. There shouldn't be anything else there. Obviously, my fingers are crossed for a Final Fantasy 16 virtual reality announcement, but it seems pretty unlikely. Would work though, would be great. Bruce the Clown, you've never played a Final Fantasy game. I actually, the Pixel remaster is coming to everything except Xbox. It's already on PC. Is it already on Switch? I don't know. It's coming to PlayStation as well. But that includes Final Fantasy 6. It includes Final Fantasy 1 to 6, but Final Fantasy 6 in particular has a reputation for being perhaps the best one. So I'm going to play that at some point. It's going to look old and crusty, and that's not so bad. I look old and crusty and nobody complains. So I'm going to play Final Fantasy 6. It's going to be wonderful. Maybe I'll stream it. Dakota, you're getting the Pixel remaster. Which of the 6 are you looking forward to? Or is it all of them? I also have on my list of like ancient RPGs to play. I want to play Shining Force 2 as well. Never played that. I adore Shining Force 3. It's one of my favourite games. And Shining Force 2 was supposed to be good too. So I'm going to try and play that at some point. I'll play Final Fantasy 6 and Shining Force 2. Because this is the Game on Acer channel, where the past and present and future of gaming all converge, and I love everything. So console warring seems rather irrelevant. Doesn't really have a place for me. Don't understand it. Enjoy all the games. Clip? Don't clip. I barely even like managed my words there. You can't clip me stuttering and failing to talk. That's not... For what trailer? I need a trailer. Right, I missed some things. Square can suck D's nuts, says Tony. You're not wrong. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're not wrong. Boost the clouds with graphics. Oh, Crackdown. Crackdown looked okay, especially if you play it now on a nice Xbox Series X. It's got nice colours and stuff. I know it's simplistic and flat and whatever, but that comes down to art style, right? So that's all right. Eradication is pure anticipation on your behalf. Oh, I lost track of things. I need to do better than that. Okay. Good. So, okay, so you played PC 10 years ago. It's been a little while. So it's PCs have had various things streamlined and smoothed off over 10 years for sure. But you will still get problems. And people say that it's the best place to play old games and things. And I'm not always sure that it is. Like in recent times, I've had 2 old games that I've tried to play on my PC and they've absolutely refused to run. And they're not small games. One of them was The Witcher 2 and the other one was The Stanley Parable, which should both work on a PC, and neither of them did. Both of them, from what I gather from my research, required me to tell my PC that it had way less processor cores than it's actually got before they would run, and I refuse. I'm too stubborn. So PC gaming has its issues, but Red Dead Redemption 2 and Flight Sim are perfectly fine on console at 30. Ooh, I don't know about that, Boozy. It's controversial. We'll talk about the 30 and 60 frames per second thing in a bit. JJ, you would love Witcher 1 and 2 remakes. You never got to play them, and 2 is unplayable. Why is 2 unplayable? Besides the PC version that I talked about not actually starting. Because my memory of 2 is that it played very similar to 3. Albeit not. Like 3 was an open world and 2 was zones, essentially. Like a lot smaller in that sense. The graphics are too old. If you can get The Witcher 2 working on PC, the graphics aren't that old. Like it still looks pretty reasonable if you can get it running. Like I say, it wouldn't run for me without horrible fixes that I didn't really want to go through. The Witcher 1, on the other hand, is so far off. So The Witcher 1 does still work. If you try and play that on PC, it still runs. I couldn't solve some screen tearing issues, but it runs and it looks okay, but it's mechanically very, very different to 2 and 3, and it's very PC and a bit janky and crap, but still a really good RPG. You can play it now and you can go, oh, I see why people love this series. It's still got that about it. Yeah, that's absolutely ripe for a good remaster, and they are remastering it, right? They're doing The Witcher 1, so hopefully we don't have to wait too long. Painful Discourse is back. So he is. Painful Discourse. I need a... Yeah, there we go. There's the Wii. Thank you and welcome. You're later than me, so I don't feel bad. This is good. So, Witcher 2 is 60 frames per second and 4K on the Series X. That's interesting. I will have a look at it, but it was an Xbox 360 game, right? So I imagine even with the nice back compat, it's still a fair way behind where it was on the PC. And it was considered fairly miraculous that they got it running on Xbox at all back at that point in time. So Stanley Parable don't work. The deluxe version will work, Space Denizen. I'm sure the deluxe version will work, but I had the original version. And weirdly, I swear it used to work on the PC that I've got. I definitely played it within the time frame of my current PC. Now it just won't launch, refuses. But the deluxe edition will work. So if you recall, I had Stanley Parable as my background last week. I got the Xbox version especially because I was frustrated that I couldn't get the PC one to run. So I got the Xbox version, recorded the background over there. But if you get the deluxe edition on PC, I'm sure it still works. If you want to play it in VR, I can see why you would if you've never played it before, but it's not one to repeat. I don't think VR, like obviously VR adds to everything, but I don't think there are any interactions that will make it a VR game. You'll still just be walking around letting the narrator play you. For those that haven't played the Stanley Parable yet, please do. I should issue a channel-wide ban and say you're not allowed here until you've played the Stanley Parable, because until you've gone through that initiation, fuck it, it's the same word. How's it come up twice in a stream? Sour and Grant, welcome. You don't need excuses. You don't need to apologize. In fact, I'm grateful that you're here at all. Be as late as you want. It's good. It's cool. I'm happy with that. This is strange music. I'm enjoying it. So, I didn't finish. There was another one I've played. All right. So last week, I played Loop Hero. As we went into the show, I just played one loop of Loop Hero, which took too long, and I was undecided. I didn't think it was going to get me. I didn't think it was going to get its claws into me in the way that everyone says that game can. And it's supposed to be a very addictive roguelike game. Who's played Loop Hero since it came to Game Pass last week, or before that? Oh, Space Denizen, you're saying all the right things. I really want to play Vertigo 2, and I will. I've heard that it's top tier virtual reality despite being made by just one person. I have Vertigo 1, I have Vertigo 2. I'm going to play them both. I'm going to play so much VR in the near future. I really want to upgrade my treadmill to the more responsive second edition of it, but I need to take a loan or something to do that. Oh, I could take a loan. Wait there, everyone. I'm just going to log on to my bank and see if they'll give me money. They said no. That's a shame. So Loop Hero I played with the once. I'm saying, yeah, I can see how this would work. My first take from playing it last week, live while you were here, was that I could see it working as a kind of idle game that you play in the background while you like do your day job or edit videos or watch TV or something. And I played it a bit more since then. I can see why people do like it, but it's not for me because it's not. It's like it walks a weird line between being not interactive enough that you feel like you're playing a game, but not idle enough that you can really do other things. Like it's quite naggy in terms of the frequency of input, and the inputs are fairly mundane. Your character walks around, they do all of the fighting by themselves, they play the game by themselves, and after each battle you've got some decisions to make, and those decisions are too frequent for it to be one that I can just leave alone. So I played it, like the way that it kind of uncovers its story and stuff is quite interesting, but it is ugly, it is barely interactive, and it is naggy. So for me it's a pass. I'm not going to go back to Loop Hero, I don't think. I did put a good couple of hours, like 2 or 3 hours into it though, so if you enjoy it, I can see it, I can recognize where the enjoyment comes from. It's just not for me. That's it though for my games that I've played. I've got many games coming this week, including I'm going to do so much VR, there's nothing you can do to stop me. There'll be so much VR, there'll be some more Diablo, and there'll be so much VR. I'm going to finish so many VR games. It's like a New Year's resolution starting from the 13th of April. Finish my damn VR games. So many shiny things, so many things I want to go and do all the time. Oh, there's a new game. Oh, there's a new game. Oh, there's a new game. Oh, there's an old game, but I should start it again. Oh, that's the same old game as last time. I should start it again. Terrible at doing that. Am I going to stream them? I'm going to stream as much as I can. Peter Moreland, like, have the clocks changed? All the people that are usually here right from the off are rocking in whenever they want, and that's cool but strange. Like, 1 or 2 people. Okay, that's fine, like, cool, do your own thing, come when you need to come. But so many people coming in late, it's like, am I missing something? Is there some event that I've not been invited to? Have you been having your own show? You got a cold and you're curing it with beer. Nice to do that. I prefer, when I have a cold, I don't know why, it definitely doesn't help. Like, alcoholic drinks do not cure illness. If I've got a sore throat or anything like that, it's not beer that I would go for. It's either something strong or some red wine. A sore throat demands it, even though you know it's not going to help whatsoever. PlayStation show. There's one of those at 10. There can't be another one now. Yeah, and like I say, people keep apologising for coming in late, and it makes no sense. You don't need to apologise. I'm really grateful that you come at all, that you're talking to me, that you enjoy the show. If you're here week by week, that's like amazing. Why are you so good to me? Don't apologise. Silly. Doesn't alcohol kill germs? I think the germs are more resilient than the people, Isla. So I could use alcohol to kill germs, but I'd probably die first. The hard alcohol does, yeah, but there'll be enough germs to get around. Finish with the VR game. No painful discourse. No, you're doing that on purpose. I'm going to finish. I'm going to see the endings of many VR games. I've not even finished Half-Life Alyx. Like, I've started it about 4 times. And then I get distracted by something else shiny. I'm going to finish Half-Life Alyx. I'm going to finish Horizon Call of the Mountain. I'm going to finish Vertigo 1 and Vertigo 2. I'm going to finish Asgard's Wrath. I'm going to finish Stormlands. I'm going to finish fucking Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. I need to finish before I'm allowed to play the second one. I'm going to play so many. And I tell you, if they stopped... I obviously don't want this, but if they stopped making virtual reality games now and said there's never going to be another one published, I'd still buy a new VR headset next year. And just get freaking Skyrim. I haven't finished Skyrim, and then I can start Fallout. Too much. It is a lot of games to finish, and then there's things like racing games and stuff. I don't need to finish those. Those are things that I can just keep going forever. My VR backlog is getting too big. We will see the finish of VR. A painful discourse. I'm not gonna bite. You can't upset me with your anti-VR talk because I'm so freaking used to it. I know people that enjoy Xbox. Painful discourse. You think I haven't heard people talk about the death of VR? How niche and niche it is. It'll never be mainstream. I know. I don't care. Kratos, you need to make a few clones of yourself to finish all your games. That's no good though, unless they can feed the experience back to you. If they can let you share in that enjoyment somehow, then by all means. But otherwise, your clones won't help. VR is awesome. VR has too many games for me, Tony. Too many games for me. And I'm going to do so much of it. I found someone just like me. Not the person isn't just like me, but their streaming setup is just like me. They have the treadmill, they have the green screen, they put themselves in the same place, and they do quite good content. And I've forgotten his name, or I would share it with you. So in future, it's like Jay. He's called Josh, and he goes by Beer and Headshots, but he rebranded his channel to something way less convenient. Has a good channel for people that like the kind of things that I enjoy, which is running around on a treadmill shooting stuff. So that's a thing. Yeah. Has anyone seen Immortals of Averum? Is Immortals of Averum a game? I've heard of the name, but I don't know what it is. Could be trailer time. If I can find my freaking cursor. Immortals of Avum. Immortals of Avium. Well, they've failed on a compelling name, even if the game is really good. 4 hours ago, official reveal trailer. Here it comes. No, I haven't seen this yet. Brown. Let me shut the OST up for a minute. Oh, that was a thing I was supposed to change. Ascendant Studios. EA Originals. Yes, I've got this game.
This is Avium.
Yeah, it's like Forspoken Machine Gun. Subscriptions will come up as a topic as well, by the way.
We've waged war over who would control it.
The audio was quiet, yes.
Only Lucium remains to resist the tyrant of Rashan. Sandrak will eventually be able to block our access to magic.
Happened to your shitty EA?
Ever war is over.
EA always took more stick than they deserved. They deserved a fair amount of stick, but Activision always deserved more. Wee, magic. It was quiet. What? Wait, you're confusing me. Ricardo, say what you want to say about EA so we can discuss it.
There's a name for what you are.
A Magnus. I want to be an immortal. I want to fight this war as one of you.
It's fine.
One of the elite.
A Final Fantasy times Destiny ripoff.
She definitely thinks you're going to die. That's
No, this is Destiny times Forspoken. Outriders and Chivalry. Chivalry's fun. Complete nonsense, but good fun. Okay, the gameplay doesn't look as good. But could be.
You walk towards your doom.
Doom and I are old friends.
So, what is this? Is this like a multiplayer thing, or is it a campaign? Because it visually looks like it should be a service game.
Your sigil will help you focus your
But I'm not seeing any other players
Prevent it.
in any of the gameplay so far. That's enough sound. The trailer can keep playing there quietly, and I'll put the stuff back on. You can see the Outriders inspiration. Nobody's inspired by Outriders, though. Which isn't, like, mean, but it's just his Outriders, right? Outriders wears its inspirations very much on its sleeve, so nothing can be inspired by Outriders. They'll be inspired by the sources of Outriders. Outriders itself wasn't that successful or well received. Trinity Fusion better, if you say so, Tony. Ricardo, tell me about EA, because I like the EA conversation. EA, I can't even remember, it must have been a while back now, but for 3 years in a row, they were awarded like worst company in the world in I don't know what kind of popular vote. And it wasn't limited to video game companies. It was like, this is the worst company in the world, voted for by the people 3 years in a row. And it was always funny to me because during those 3 years, every single one of them, Activision were worse. EA had problems. They did some bad crap with the way they monetized stuff and the way they ruined certain franchises and closed down studios and all the rest of it. But Activision were worse. And nobody ever mentioned how bad Activision were. Peter Morland, CEO, EA have always been great over the decades, but they've also always been greedy fuckers. Shame. Yeah, they've definitely like earned a fair amount of stick in those days. It was EA that made Medal of Honor. Well, I don't know if they made them from the start of the series, but they definitely own Medal of Honor these days. And they definitely drove that series down. They drove the Battlefield series down. A lot of people have followed that through and been upset. They've got FIFA is a nasty piece of crap. Madden's probably the same. I've never played Madden, but I assume it's the same. But Activision were worse and are worse and remain worse. And who knows if that will change when they get bought by Microsoft. I've said it for like so many times. How are people not seeing what they're doing as they charge for everything as much as possible? Do all of their timed exclusive contract bullshit. Don't like Activision. Do like Blizzard. It's very difficult to walk that line. If only Activision didn't own Blizzard, wouldn't the world be a better place? Maybe Microsoft will fix all of that. So what topic are we on? I lost my notepad. The topics are really difficult. This show's normally so well structured. Normally I just read through them all and we have nice, concise, insightful things to say, a little bit of a conversation, and we cycle through the top. This isn't true. Like, if you're here, you know they always go scatty and off the rails anyway, but I do normally have a list of topics and I don't today. So let's talk about 5 minutes until the Final Fantasy thing. Well, when Final Fantasy is on, we can carry on talking, because I'm not going to sit and listen to them talking about Final Fantasy. I'm just going to stick it on in the background. Digital pad of paper. I can't use pens. Let's stop with your Google fanning. This is a non-Google space. Well, we're on YouTube, and I love YouTube, actually. YouTube's really good to me. So, okay, fine. You can celebrate Google a little bit. Enjoy your Google Docs. So let's do... What's wrong with FIFA? You don't like football, but you'll still jump on for a few games with your grandson, so he can delight in whipping your ass. Football's a really difficult one. Sports games in general are very difficult to get right, like team games, basically. Because if you've ever actually played football, you know that the significance of any one player is not greater than that of the team. So for me, when you're playing football, when you're controlling one person, really... It's an AI versus AI game with you having a tiny amount of influence, which is weird in itself, but it's more... FIFA used to be, I think it was up to maybe FIFA 95 was good. FIFA went downhill when they took out block tackle as a button. So it used to be sliding tackles and standing tackles were like buttons that you pressed and they did a thing. And then at some point they went, well... This is fun, but wouldn't it look more like football if we had you hold down a kind of tussle button and then the players would interact more naturally and it would look more like it does on TV? And this became the central theme of FIFA development for the next forever, up to date. Monetization aside, central theme was to make it as close to watching football as possible in its presentation. And every step towards that, like giving the players their weight so that they turn slowly, all of these things, every step towards making it look like real football made it less fun as a game, to me. So you take the fact that it's football and you're just one player amongst 11 in the first place. Take the fact that they are deliberately making decisions that say this is less responsive, but it looks more like real life. And I think they're phenomenally talented for how well they've done that. Like, FIFA looks incredibly like you're watching football. You can probably find an old person that doesn't really know the difference, show them FIFA and convince them that they're watching actual football, because they've done a really good job, but it's not fun to play. And I can only imagine that the same is true of Madden and things as well, but I don't know for a fact. FIFA can stay where it belongs. Professional players. So Tony, FIFA has its... I don't touch it, but FIFA has its professional mode where you have 11 people that make up a team, right? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about the FIFA esports scene that I don't believe in? There is a FIFA esports scene, but it's weird. It's not a game that deserves an esports scene. It has one just by virtue of its popularity, not by virtue of it actually being a good esports game. FIFA actual... Yes, Tony, I know that. Well, no, wait, you're talking... I missed it. You're confusing me. I don't miss anything. Peter Morland... Wait, something... So you're not a football person, but people love it and are addicted to FIFA for the last 20 years. Painful discourse. I'm scrolling up. Paying for this, your friend, she's a game dev, was at a job interview at EA and they asked if she wants coffee and she replied, you have to pay for the sugar, and they didn't laugh. Did she get the job? It's a brilliant response. I guess it would depend who you got there. Like, some of them would have the self-awareness to know that that's a good anti-EA joke. Didn't get the job. Did you have to pay for the sugar? To be fair, JJ, if I was like angling that, if I'm EA in that situation doing that interview, that person has immediately demonstrated that they follow the industry closely, right? Like, it's, and that they've got a decent sense of humor. I get that it's like at your company's expense, but that's like more than tell us what you know about EA. Like, oh, you got this many employees and offices in these places and you started in this year and all the rest of it. Pay for the sugar is like much more insightful, much closer to truth. Painful discourse. I'm going to write to EA immediately and ask that they reconsider if she still wants to work there. And it is supposed to be a good place to work. They've always had, like, on the one hand, awards for being a terrible company, and on the other hand, awards for being a really good place to work. So, right, do you know what? Oh fuck, it's 10 o'clock. I need to find the thing. Wait there. I'm not going to look at this very much. It's for your sake. But don't run away to watch Final Fantasy State of Play, because it's coming right up. PlayStation. Let's get their YouTube channel and watch it there. State of Play in English, no subtitles, 43,000 people watching. We made it with 16 seconds to spare. Let's close the OST that none of you have identified yet. Put a bit of background noise on. In fact, as we've got... What do you want? You can choose. Do you want it in this screen, or do you want it like blown up so you can see all of it? It's there for now. You can talk over the stream, it won't bother you. Yeah, so... If it's like not too wordy, where's the sound? There is sound. Why can't I hear it? Can you hear it? I can't hear it because I put the wrong one up.
Final Fantasy 16, and welcome to the state of...
Yes, I'm not going to speak over like translated Japanese words. When the game starts, I'll put a little bit of audio on there and we can see it. You want to see my face? You can see my face in either scenario, Tony. Can we make it smaller? Patrick, just move further away from whatever device you're watching it on. Like, just take a few steps back. You're welcome. Solving problems, that's what I do. She works at or with Bloober and Techland before, so that's cool. That's cool. Put it behind my background. No, Patrick. All right, let's have some volume, see if it's voicey. Okay, there's a few voices. There's some very Final Fantasy melody going on. They'll shut up in a minute and we'll carry on talking. So let's talk about while Final Fantasy is on, and I'm, like I say, I'm barely watching this, so I'm not going to comment like directly very much, unless they mention virtual reality. Let's talk about Ubisoft Plus. That's a nice simple one that we can do while we have that on in the background, right? So, as you may have heard, as of today, I think, Ubisoft Plus is available on Xbox. No painful discourse. Patrick wants to make everyone and everything smaller. And these people aren't Japanese. They're Final Fantasy characters. They're from I can't remember what the world's called. There are too many words. There are too many words going on, so I'm turning the trailer sound off. There's no sound. We're just going to assume that you want to hear the OST instead. How much is Ubisoft Plus? There's a good question, JJ. So, Ubisoft Plus on Xbox. People have been expecting it coming for a very long time. Some people may have mistakenly thought that it was coming to Game Pass. It's not part of Game Pass. It is a separate service. It is, if you hadn't already become familiar with Ubisoft Plus, it's been available on PC, Amazon, and while it still existed, Stadia for quite a long time. It is an expensive service. It's... I think the new tier of it in the UK, I've seen mixed things going around and I haven't looked at it myself, but it's like $17.99 a month, I think. to get the you can't get it specifically for the Xbox. You have to, if you want to play it on Xbox, you have to get the multi-platform package. So you'll be getting Ubisoft Plus on PC, Amazon, not Stadia because it's dead, and Xbox, all within that package for $17.99 a month. For that $17.99 a month, you get on Xbox like 60 odd games, most of which are Assassin's Creed, but there's a bunch of Far Cry's in there and things like that as well. And you get the promising Ubisoft future of Skull and Bones, which is awful, Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed, which is Assassin's Creed, and another The Crew, which nobody's ever played The Crew, right? Has anybody ever played The Crew? No one's going to play The Crew because Forza Horizon exists. If you're going to play an open world racing game, sorry Ubisoft, but no one plays The Crew. Not even PlayStation people play The Crew. I don't know how it's still going. There's been 2 of those games and they support it forever, and they're making another one. What have they added since 2021? So that's a good question, Boozy, because Ubisoft at the launch of the consoles, they did pretty well. When the PlayStation 5 and the Series X came out, you had Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you had Watch Dogs Legion, and you've had Far Cry 6 along the way as well. And that's a decent slate of game for a publisher. You've had Rainbow Six Extraction as well, that's more recent. And they do keep updating things like For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege. And they've had their Switch game, Mario Rabbids nonsense, whatever it is. But games coming up, like there's been nothing from Ubisoft in recent months besides that Rabbids game. And there's nothing on the horizon. Oh, Riders Republic. Thank you, Patrick. Riders Republic is a game that came out as well. It's not an enticing service right now, and it's not about to become enticing within the next few months. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to see like huge adoption on the Xbox platform. Have any of you already got Ubisoft Plus, and do any of you want it now that it's available on Xbox? That's a good, like, obvious question, right? Because I have been subscribed to Ubisoft Plus for several years, like pretty much since the service came about, because I'm a mug and I subscribe to services. I want all of the games available all of the time, and I don't think I've played anything for more than 5 minutes. I recorded I played a little bit of Watch Dogs Legion, but I couldn't stand the accents, and I got that mostly to like have a look at the ray tracing and stuff when the consoles came about, and I don't know, just see what things were like. And that's it. I don't think I've actually meaningfully played anything on the service. Oh, I played Immortals Phoenix Rising. That was a good game. That was the best Ubisoft game. So and Grant, you've already bought most of the Ubisoft games that you would want to play. All of the Assassin's Creed, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Far Cry. The other thing with Ubisoft, though, is they are very willing to work with both Microsoft and Sony for getting their games into subscription services. The OST's annoying me. Let's get the trailer back for a bit. That's a nice landscape. Look at that nice landscape. Oh, it's gone. I don't like the colour palette of Final Fantasy 16. It's nice in this little villagey area and this nice underground bit, but the open, like the outer world, looked very bland colour-wise. Very bland. Very bland. Nice water. That's a little bit more vibrant. I like colours. I'm underwhelmed. They're talking about the combat anyway. So, Ubisoft do have a new Star Wars game in the making. That's true. They've not shown anything about that yet. The Darge Knight is here. We're talking Ubisoft Darge. Are you going to subscribe? Do you already subscribe? Are you a Ubisoft player? Does the service entice you? Are you outraged by the price? I don't have answers. I have Ubisoft Plus and I don't use it, and every month they taunt me with how bad the service is. They're like, oh, thanks for paying like 15 quid, you mug. This month you get fucking, what's that skating game called? You get like a skin in that roller skating game that flopped hard, or you get a custom deck for Uno. I don't know how Ubisoft Plus as a service is going to survive on Xbox unless they bring out Uno so they can do these custom decks. Don't be silly. You like Ubisoft games, everyone does. The only thing that you didn't like about Phoenix Rising, however it's spelled, is that they use the same voice actors which they needed to sound Greek and not like Italian or a Viking. See, I didn't finish Immortals Phoenix Rising. It's way overpacked, but it felt pretty good to play. It ran pretty nicely. The upgrades were interesting. The game was pretty funny. It had... I actually didn't mind the puzzles in that game. Like, they were well-designed puzzles. They weren't Resident Evil puzzles. They played with like the physics systems and things like that and just made a lot of sense as puzzles go. Because it's a game for children, so basically I can do the puzzles, so I like them. But there was so much on that map. So much on that map. I struggle to get through open world games that really pack the map like that. What are we thinking of Final Fantasy as this trailer's here and we've all been watching it? You're watching it more than I am, so I'm opening that question up for you. Game was great. Map design, you just didn't like the voice acting as an immature adult. Fair enough. Fair enough. Sound great. You got stuck in the ice bit. You have to go back to it at some point. I don't remember ice. There probably was ice. But you had quite a lot of options on the order that you tackled things on that game, right? Beta, you were excited to think another publisher for free, and then you noticed the announcement. It didn't name a single game that you can be bothered to play. Yeah. The catalogue for Ubisoft is... They've had, like, if you like your Assassin's Creed games and you like the Far Cry games and for some reason you didn't buy them along the way, even those, like, Valhalla's definitely free on the PlayStation Plus one. I think all of the other Assassin's Creed games are free on Game Pass. There's so little in Ubisoft Plus to make it worthwhile.
A combination I can particularly recommend to those who may struggle with action gameplay is the Ring of Timely Focus and the Ring of Timely Strikes.
Berserker, it's happening still. What is going on? What is this secret party you've all been at? Why am I not invited to the parties? Like, I wouldn't go, but I could at least decline with my own interesting backstory and alibi. Painful discourse. You think wait, words are difficult. You don't know. You think you're a bit over standing in place, flashy combat. It seems like there's not a lot of positioning involved. So, like I say, I've not been watching the combat at all. Does it have options? It doesn't look like it has. Like Final Fantasy VII, you can kind of feel the Final Fantasy. I'm talking about the remake rather than the original. The remake is quite action focused, but it still pulls together the mechanics of the original quite well, and you get the sense that you could pause it and play it almost like a turn-based game. This one doesn't look it. This does look very much hack and slash, which isn't like games can be, but this is Final Fantasy. Why is Final Fantasy doing this? Give me what everybody wants, a proper turn-based Final Fantasy game in virtual reality. Thank you very much. I know what the people want. Acid Flare, you've done it too. Final Fantasy 16 reminds you of Devil May Cry combat. It's green, sicky, sad face. Yeah. I am still going to play it. Like, they consistently have good music. The stories are hit or miss. A lot about this one. I still don't like the colours. Like, it's not doing it for me artistically. But I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go for the music and hope that the story grips me. You're seeing your dreams. Wait. Dodge is going to sleep. Gotta go to bed. You got a hospital. Oh yeah. I know your lad's been in and out, hasn't he? So no worries, Dodge. If you need to talk offline at some point, you know where I am. It's not Nando's. I invited Dodge to Nando's and he declined. So Sauron Grunt, you did one of the trials for Skull and Bones. You may buy it on sale, but you wouldn't pay full price for what you saw. Sauron Grunt, you're not allowed to talk about it. You signed an NDA. But yes, anything that has you steer a boat with WASD or the left analog stick is not going to hold up against Sea of Thieves. I'll ignore you as always. I've never, Dodge. I've never. Well, maybe I wouldn't know if I have. I've not knowingly ignored you. Can't believe I called you out over the Nando's. I'm just making sure, because everyone knows this story, Dodge. You've been so public with it that you've painted me as a bad guy, so people need to know. Actually, I'm only mostly an arsehole. Ships should not have a handbrake. Acid Flare, I think ships should have a handbrake, but they don't, so yes, it doesn't fit.
strong and fierce.
Is it just me, or did they regress on the facial detail and animation? What, in Final Fantasy?
In the face of whatever
I've not been watching, so I can't really say.
Torgal will act of his own accord, but players can also get
So, we do still have, if anybody wants, probably after the Final Fantasy stuff has gone away, but if anybody wants to hit a Discord waiting room, that is still an option. You can talk with camera or without camera, but you don't have to, like, say that's fine. If not, if you'd rather talk in chat or just watch or stick things in the Q&A box, it's all fine. I'm happy with all of it.
I've taken care of her fee.
So we're all agreed that Ubisoft Plus is going to flop on Xbox, right? Nobody wants it. Ubisoft should probably do the round seeking someone to acquire them and put them out of their misery because they are on bad form at the moment.
progressing somewhat through the game.
Good. That was a nice, simple. Hold on, they're talking too much. Let's bring the mystery OST back for a bit and drink some cold coffee. That was a Starfield face. Less so. You're right. That was definitely, like, maybe we're not supposed to judge the shopkeepers entirely, but yes, those are definitely not motion captured. And yes, which is a fun thing. Like, over time, you'd expect a game like Final Fantasy, like Starfield, that's going for scale. You want them to be able to deliver convincing faces without having to capture every actor, particularly when you're talking like multilingual and things like that. And Bethesda have put a lot of work into being able to do that, as well as they do in Starfield. It's a big improvement over Skyrim and Fallout. But yes, the way that dialogue lines and motion capture are delivered will change very much over the next few years, I would think. Which is cool. That's not to say that there will be no place for highly detailed motion capture across the old Sony games and things like that, but we'll see big improvements in other games that don't. Final Fantasy 16 is not the one though. Yeah, you're right. That is very stiff, very rigid faces. Your finger is really fucky. I don't know why you keep that thing. Kratos is sure about 5 to 10% of Game Pass owners will want to try out Ubisoft Plus, but it's more expensive than Game Pass, right? More expensive for a far weaker offering. I would say, like, Ubisoft Plus, its biggest hope of people actually trying it is when Ubisoft release a game at full price. So when it's like, oh, do I want that game? It's 70 quid, or I can pay for Ubisoft Plus for a month and give it a try. That's when Ubisoft Plus might see a little bit of traction. I don't know what you're talking about, Patrick. Faces do this, they don't move very much. It's painful discourse, and faces don't need the top half to be animated. You just need to move the mouth. So long as it pretty much lip syncs, then there is nothing amiss. And if I keep I'm marketing Final Fantasy 16 now by not moving this portion of my face at all. Okay, that's enough. I need to be human again. Ubisoft Plus doesn't entice you. Less games are more expensive. That is absolutely correct, AJ. For me, I think Ubisoft Plus on Xbox is probably like 1 or 2 quid more than I'm currently giving to Ubisoft. And even then, I'm not particularly enticed, because why would I do that? But maybe I will. What's happening? This is Pixel Remaster. It's not, but whatever. It's doing things. You think it's bagel time? I do not have a bagel. Sudden drop of music. Try not to throw it on the floor today. Yeah, always try. Yeah, you're right about the faces. Always try not to throw bagels on the floor. So, you'd rather buy the games when they came out. But you do, so JJ, you do typically like subscription services though, right? Like Game Pass you're happy with because there's more value there. So you'll use that. Or are you a fan of buying games over subscription services in general? Ubisoft Plus has the EA problem where they have a subscription service where they charge a lot of money, and the amount that they charge is pretty much 2 games worth. So unless they release more than 2 good games in a year, it's not actually good value. And this has been the case. Like, EA have had EA Play running for a long time and had large periods of time where they don't actually release anything. And EA they're going through a little hotspot at the moment. They've got the Star Wars game coming. They've got that thing we just saw a little while ago. They've got all their sports games and things like that. So EA do actually have games going into that service reasonably at this part of the year. But they're up in big dry spells where it's like, why am I subscribing to this EA service and not just buying the 1 or 2 games that I like? Ubisoft very much have that problem because their output is not justifying their subscription service whatsoever. Wait, Isla, what have you done? Isla's thrown her bagel on the floor. And she's sorry. I'm assuming that she's accidentally blocked someone. So whoever you are, if you've accidentally been removed or blocked, JJ has been timed out for 5 minutes. It was an accident, JJ. I'm not sure how easy it is to undo an accident like that. We might have to wait 5 minutes. So please accept our humble apologies. Can't undo it yet. 5 minutes is no time, right? Final Fantasy will still be going in 5 minutes. So it does mean that I don't get JJ's answer on his on their general feelings on subscription services. So I'm going to just assume that you love Game Pass because I don't know. I don't know why I'm going to assume that. Nobody's got the OST yet. That's okay. I kind of like it when people don't get them. I can break arms and chat. Yes. Yes, we should all be careful. Let's talk about, so my other topics that I had lined up for today, and we'll decide, it's already 20 past 10, so we'll see how we go. But one of them, Ubisoft Plus, we kind of covered. We've done enough of that. One of them was Cyberpunk. That won't take very long. Has anybody looked at Cyberpunk's Overdrive ray tracing mode? It's full path tracing, graphical wonder. No, this is a terrible choice of topic. Bloody Final Fantasy is still going. Final Fantasy will be done in a minute. So we're going to talk about Cyberpunk and then I'll bring it up. Sounds a little like Command and Conquer. It's not Command and Conquer. So Cyberpunk released yesterday, I think, or the day before, their Overdrive ray tracing mode for Cyberpunk on PC. And Overdrive mode is fully path traced ray tracing, which means that rather than like the normal way that you see 3D graphics is through rasterization, which is a technology I don't understand because I am but a pleb, but it is everything that you've seen up to this point pretty much, where you're like building meshes and shading them different ways and faking your light and shadows so you can cast them in the environment, but all kinds of things like that. Whereas path tracing, like ray tracing proper, essentially does a much better job of replicating real life in that everything that you're seeing is light bouncing around. The rays of it are, like in this case, light, and all of the visuals that you're seeing are brought together by light bouncing around and forming a more natural visual piece. This is the worst explanation of ray tracing that anyone's ever got, but I think you're with me and you know what I'm talking about. So much like real life, where sun comes down, lights are on, whatever, and light bounces off of things, and what you are seeing is light bouncing off. That's how ray tracing works. The rays are bouncing around the environment and you are seeing that light. It's super demanding. It's been used in films forever, from the likes of Toy Story and up, like films. And when you see things like the Transformers films, where they have a real environment and then they have these Transformers and they look like they belong in that real environment, it's because they are using nice ray tracing lighting that looks entirely natural and does fit into the environment more or less. But films like that take massive rendering farms and they spend like hours and hours and hours to compose a single frame of that film and then put them all together, because it's a film. You don't need to do it real time. You can process it for days, weeks and months and then just show someone the rendered output at the end of it. For this to be happening in games in real time is very, very new, very, very futuristic, slowly coming about, and there are very few examples of it. On PC, before Cyberpunk did this, you could play Minecraft in full path traced ray tracing, which still looked like Minecraft more or less, but with much nicer lights and reflections and things like that, which I do have footage of. But Final Fantasy still is this. Wait, why is Pan's Dragoon on the screen? What? Don't get me wrong, like, I'm a fan of Panzer Dragoon, but what the fuck? I see now why I see Panzer Dragoon mentioned in chat. You think the Panzer Dragoon part looks cool, but it looks like Panzer Dragoon. That's not like, it's not an IP that holds up against. Why has it gone into like primeval Tekken nonsense? What is Final Fantasy 16? I hate this. Let's mute the OST and see what this sounds like. But I'm gonna get it because of the music. The gameplay looks wank. It looks utterly terrible. What are you doing? That's not Final Fantasy. I'm gonna buy you for your music alone. Should I just buy the OST and ignore the game? No, of course not. But this looks terrible. Oh well. We encourage developers to try new things with well-established, beloved IPs. If you make a game for everyone, you make a game for no one. Yes, Painful Discourse, they should say, I don't care about everyone, let's make the Final Fantasy virtual reality game of Ace's dreams. We can succeed in that. Another rake for Square to step on. Yeah. I don't know. Like I'll play it, but why is it called Final Fantasy?
So everyone, what did you think? Thank you for taking the time.
You don't want to know what I think, sir. Right, he's gone again. So that's the end of State of Play, which means we can look at Cyberpunk now. So, path tracing on Cyberpunk. It's really, really impressive that they've done it, because Cyberpunk is obviously a modern game with a very complicated environment, and the requirements for it are quite something. Has anyone looked at it? Has anyone seen path tracing on Cyberpunk yet? JJ's free from prison. Welcome back. Sorry, I was talking ray tracing, doing a terrible job of explaining like the difference between what you can see in my background, which is the PC version of Ghostwire Tokyo with ray trace reflections and various other bits and pieces going on, versus what you see in Cyberpunk or Minecraft, or you can play Quake 2 fully path trace, you can play Portal fully path trace, you can play user mods of like Serious Sam and things like that path traced. And I gave my terrible description. Cyberpunk is on sale for 25 quid on the Xbox store. It's been cheaper than that, JJ. It was definitely cheaper than that before on the Xbox store. But it is a good game now. Like, if you've never played it, it works. It performs reasonably well. It looks quite nice. It's a decent game. Have you played Cyberpunk after they fixed it up? Is it worth a play now? Yeah, I did a little video at some point on Cyberpunk right after they fixed it up. When they re-released it on PlayStation, I did a video on like a little bit of a tech analysis of it, and yes, I'd say it's very much worth playing now. Acid Flare, Teensy Bit, your question is how will it work on the cheaper cars? Well, Acid Flare, I'm going to bring up the Digital Foundry showcase of it because it will just look nice. I have not a cheap PC, but not a 40 series PC. I've got an RTX 3090 in my PC, and the Cyberpunk Digital Foundry. Ah, fuck you, keyboard. Sorry, I swear when I do things wrong. I'm only mad at myself. Here is a tour of Night City from Digital Foundry, which we'll put here. Let's put it behind, just for a little bit so you can see it more fully. On the RTX 3090, which was a very expensive graphics card like a year or two ago, it runs. The patch notes from CD Projekt Red state that it's supported on the 40 series cards, and on an RTX 3090, they said on an RTX 3090 you can aim for 1080p and 30 frames per second using Overdrive ray tracing. Anything less than that is not supported. You shouldn't try it. In fact, they might say it up here. No, this is Digital Foundry saying what they're using. And if you have a different generation of RTX cards, if you have the 30 series lower end, or you have a 20 series RTX card, then you can use a very special feature called Overdrive screenshots or something like that. So you can at least get an idea of what it looks like by taking a screenshot, and it will render that off in the background using path tracing, so you can go, that's what it would look like if I spent £1,700 on an RTX 4090. On a 3090 it doesn't work. It's not playable. It doesn't look anything like this. It doesn't perform anywhere remotely close to playable. I had a little look at it. I was going to do some comparisons and things, but the problem that I had is that to get it remotely performant, you have to use like a lower resolution, and you have to use DLSS to like upscale it. And I think the base resolution that you're upscaling from is too low. The path tracing is too limited. So as you move around the city, you essentially get a lot of noise. So ray tracing is, because it is so difficult, the number of rays that it's actually doing actually leads to a really spotty image most of the time, and then they use various techniques to smooth that off and like fill in the gaps. The ray tracing on the RTX 3090 on Cyberpunk Overdrive is noisy. Things do not look right, and that's a shame. You get a lot of pop in because the light's just not bouncing that far. So as you move around, you see scenery appear, you see grain on the fine details, and it's runs at about 25 frames per second if you're lucky. So path tracing on anything less than an RTX 4080, 4090 is still a pipe dream at the moment. But you look at this. This is not the ray tracing overdrive mode that I got to experience for myself. This is gorgeous. So if you've got really deep pockets, go play that for a while. I've actually been, so I'm trying to save up for my next big purchase, and I look at this and think, I want a new graphics card, but then I remember that my treadmill's right there and I want a new treadmill. So what I get next, it's going to be freaking ages until I can experience Cyberpunk looking like this. It's what it is. But what do you think though? What do you think of ray tracing in general? Because obviously on the console side of things, which is where most people play, and even on the PC side of things, most people don't have a 4090 or whatever. Ray tracing has not delivered anything like this and not come close to it. And on these consoles, never will. If they do an Xbox Series X Pro, whatever they want to call it, or a PlayStation 5 Pro, they're still not going to be able to deliver anything like this because AMD don't know how. But are you one of these? I see lots of people completely dismissive of the technology, saying they don't like it, it's not worth the performance cost and all that kind of things. Is that you? Do you hate ray tracing, or do you think actually it's quite promising for the future? It does good things in terms of the fact that all the lighting and all the shadowing and all of that and everything about it is drawn naturally in the way that you would expect from real life, will eventually be a fairly significant reduction in like developer overhead. Because at the moment you look at like every scene in every game is very carefully painted in terms of where the light is and all of that kind of stuff, where the shadows are, how things look, like ambient occlusion to make sure they blend into the environment properly, and light pretends to bounce around. If you do it with ray tracing, all of that stuff is real, so the developer input to make things look right is drastically reduced. But we're so far away from that being the case, because for that to be the case, they'd need to basically say we don't need to support the other pipeline anymore. We don't need a rasterization pipeline for old hardware. We can go all in on ray tracing. Gonna get there though. It's gonna be cool. JJ, you think it looks cool? You just prefer performance? There's like, I mean, every advancement in terms of the way things look has a performance cost. Everything that you do see has a performance cost. And the balance is more about when the hardware can deliver sufficient performance that it's playable for you. So a lot of people think of it in terms of trade-offs, because that's what you're presented like on consoles in particular. They say, do you want to enable ray tracing? If you enable ray tracing, you're playing at 30 frames per second, and it's given the impression that ray tracing is like a trade-off and a cost. But you could say that about anything. Like having lighting is a trade-off and a cost, but our hardware has got to a point where it's a reasonable cost. Ray tracing will eventually be a reasonable cost, so you'll have adequate performance. What that metric looks like, what resolution and frame rate you need to really embrace it. We shall see, right? Your eye itches, don't scratch it. Patrick, you for one cannot wait to write some natural lighting algorithms instead of trying to bake in lighting everywhere. Yeah, in theory you wouldn't even need to like write algorithms, right? You'd place light sources and there'd be actual light sources, but you wouldn't need to determine much about that. Like, it's obviously all the surfaces and things throughout the game will need to have certain properties to bounce that light around properly. And that will be the future of building environments. You scratched it. No. Yeah, you have to place, like, create all the light sources and all the rest of it. And every surface in there has to have all of the physical properties to bounce that light properly. Yes. Still, I like it. Like, it's what I want for my virtual reality future. Imagine that one day I'll have ray tracing in virtual reality. That's one thing about Cyberpunk actually that's really weird. For all of this, path tracing mode where everything is like lit properly, it's all natural, it's all bouncing everywhere. Player character still doesn't have a reflection. I didn't look at many surfaces because I was running around at like 8 frames per second at the time. But that's enough to like break the whole illusion. If you look at like a reflective surface and you don't see yourself, so what? That's just strange. Don't know why Cyberpunk does that. Is this Evil Within music or something? It is not Evil Within music. Look at them with their like performance Cyberpunk. Mine was nothing like that. I'm still not a massive fan of DLSS, but I'm looking at this quite closely just for a moment so I can see. I'm trying to see how much different the pop-in is to how it was on my 3090, because it is still there. You can still see it in here. You can see that rays bounce differently at a certain distance away, which isn't surprising. Like, it's too much to ask for it to actually be perfect, but I'm fairly convinced that it's there are more rays bouncing further out than there are on my graphics card, despite there not being any settings to determine that within the menu. You can barely hear it. It can go a little bit louder for you. And I'll turn my headphones down because I can overly hear it. Definitely has a ways to go, but eventually it'll get there. Well, like, if games looked like this, like if I were playing Cyberpunk and I had any choice of hardware, obviously I'd play the modded virtual reality version, but ignoring the virtual reality version, that looks better than the rest of the game. That is the mode that I would choose to play if I had unlimited hardware potential. Broadcast complete. Painful discourse. You have a shitty headset at the moment. Fair enough. It's loud enough that it's not very musical at the moment. Yeah, I like my umbrella. Let's do the next topic. What was the next topic? Redfall. Speaking of performance. Redfall. Right? No ray tracing. Very unnatural lights. Very nice, pretty lights. But Arcane came out yesterday to confirm that the Xbox version of the game at launch is 4K and 30 frames per second. The Xbox Series S is 40 and 40p and 30 frames per second. They're planning to deliver a patch to get it up to 60 frames per second sometime after launch. No particular indication of how long that's going to be. So what have we got to say about that? What have we got to say about that? It's on Game Pass, so you're going to have day one access to it. Are you going to download it and play it at 30? Or does 30 make you sick? You're going to play it, but it's disappointing that it's not 60 frames per second on day one. Follow-up question, and this one's for everyone. Please do answer if you can. At what point in your gaming history did you decide that you don't like 30 frames per second anymore? If you have decided that, and not everybody has, some people are quite happy to play it, but there's a lot of people that are very angry that this game is 30 frames per second. And a mere 3 years ago, everything was 30 frames per second, and they've taken a very hard line on it in that time frame. Is that you? At what point in your game playing career did you decide you're not going back to 30 anymore? Is it since you got this current console? Is it something that you strived for way back by chasing the PC hardware genie? Isla doesn't mind 30 with superior eyes and brain, that's why. I also have superior eyes and brain. I can make anything above 8 frames per second look perfectly smooth. That's not true. You got current Cornell. What? I'm going to assume that's some kind of food. Wayne, 30 frames per second is still good for you. You played Spectrum, you've played Eve, which was 1 frame per hour in the big battles. So I actually played, oh, David Billups, that's a name I haven't seen. Welcome. You still can't tell the difference between 30 and 60. So what I find with them, what I've always, for a long, well, not always, but for a long time, it does depend on the type of game. Some games it's a lot more apparent than others. First-person shooters, unfortunately, being probably the most dramatic case of it being a problem, but there we go. What I've always found is that if you are playing 30 frames per second for a while, you adjust to it and it feels good and smooth again. But if you switch from one to the other, and it was really, really apparent to me when the first Destiny game came out. So you had Halo 5 was around. I can't remember which one was out first, but you had Halo 5 kicking around at 60 frames per second, but ugly mode. And then you had Destiny, which was like much nicer resolution wise, but played at 30 frames per second, and swapping between them made Destiny really unpleasant. But if you play Destiny for a prolonged period of time, then it started to look and feel good again. I've chased like ridiculous hardware for a long time, so I was playing at 60 frames per second like before the last generation of consoles begun, and I'm very accustomed to it, but I'm not as anti 30 frames per second as some people seem to be. I played Spider-Man on the PlayStation 5. That's got a choice of profiles, and I played that at 30 frames per second because it's done really well in that game. It's very, very smooth, and the style of game there, because Spider-Man has like the Arkham style combat where everything's context sensitive rather than being Twitch. It's a lot of the animation and stuff is handled for you, and it becomes more of a timing game. So Spider-Man actually worked really well at 30. Concern for Redfall is that is a first-person shooter. You are going to be panning the camera at whatever speed you want. If any game suffers for being 30 frames per second, it's likely to be Redfall. But remember my twit got people mad. Which one? I occasionally do antagonize. JJ, you're not angry with it, you're mildly disappointed. You think the talk of new consoles on the horizon, you're not getting most out of the current boxes. I guess it's more dev issues and time management. So, see, Starfield at 30 could potentially be okay. It's not Biohazard, nice try. The performance mode and quality mode tweet. I don't like having the choice on console games, I'll say that much. I've said it before. I don't like the names, quality and performance mode, because they don't particularly fit, but I don't like having a choice, because then you have to go into a menu and choose what you don't want. Do you not want your resolution? Do you not want your frame rate? Don't like making that compromise. I'd rather developers gave me the best experience, but that's a besides the point kind of thing. Redfall, for me, the fact that it's 30 is like, it's unfortunate. The fact that they've marketed it in all of their trailers as a 60 frames per second game is more unfortunate, because everyone has seen it running perfectly smoothly, and they set an expectation themselves through their own marketing and then fell short of it. So that's a shame. Wayne, you're going to play the Xbox through your PC though, which comes through at 1080-30. They reduced it a couple of years ago and you still enjoy it. Blah. Like, I'll go back to Spider-Man again, because that's the last game I can remember playing at 30 frames per second. It's the most jarring part of Spider-Man at 30 is the introductory cutscene, where before you even start playing the game, it like pans across Peter Parker's wall and family photos and things like that. And that was really noticeably horrible at 30, because you pan a camera at a certain speed and it just becomes choppy. But in gameplay, it was handled much, much better than that cutscene, and I didn't really have any problem with it for the rest of the game. It's not going to be nice for Destiny. Not Destiny, you know, this new one, Redfall. It's not going to be nice for Redfall. What surprised me about it, though, is all the Redfall trailers that we're seeing. Let's bring up some Redfall gameplay. All the Redfall trailers that we've seen, I've always, like, complimented them for the art on it. Redfall gameplay. I like the way that they built that world. I like how intricate and hand-picked everything. Everything just looks like it's had a designer specifically place everything in every scene rather than painting by any broad strokes and reusing all kinds of stuff. So I like that about it, but I'm quite disappointed, particularly with the torch, and critical of the lights, because they are the opposite of a nice path trace cyberpunk. All of the lights in the environments in Redfall, including the player held torch, are just like, they're painted, they're not real, they're not natural, and they don't cast shadows. So if the people are running through various light sources in the environment, they're not casting shadows, and that is fairly apparent but forgivable, because that's a massive performance saving. And I saw these massive performance savings and thought, yeah, this, like, the art style is going to last for ages. It would be wonderful if they did, like, for distant future, a ray tracing update or something, or just like anything to fix these lights and make them more believable and real. But it is a pretty timeless art style and it's going to last forever. So I was surprised that this art style is not lending itself to a nice high frame rate. And I get that the game is big. There's a lot going, well, there's not a lot going on. I get that it's quite wide and open. And everything is nice and crispy, but I was surprised that they haven't managed it. But it's like untethered co-op, right? It's the Gotham Knights problem all over again. You can imagine the developers at Warner Brothers, whatever, just like, see? We told you it was difficult. Just hoping for some forgiveness. The marketing says, yeah, the marketing on the Xbox said it was 60 frames per second plus, didn't it? Eastside Vandal, welcome. You personally don't care, but you think the standard at this point should be 60 for these next-gen games, especially a first-party offering. Sauron Grant, you're fed up with choice. People are obsessed with it. Give me what you think is best. The problem that I have there, really, though... No, let's not do the options talk again. Let's not do the options talk again. But you're right, Sauron Grant. I mean, this is an opinion not many people agree with. I say it quite a lot. The general consensus is that options are good, and the more options, the better. Not for me. Like, options have their place on PC. I don't mind them, but I don't enjoy them on console. I want the developers that have really sophisticated performance profiling tools to get the best out of my console and let me play that. Don't give me choices. That's just me, though. I get that most people like to have options. You got butter all over your hand. You know that that's the grossest thing. Why would you say that to me out loud while I'm here and people can see my face go blah, blah. Do not like the feel of butter. Kratos, you know, other channels brought up that tweet that all Xbox games will run at 60 and up to 120 frames per second. Yeah, marketing people, eh? They shouldn't exist. Like, they should exist, but they should keep their mouth shut. But then are they marketing people? Yeah. Fortnite is untethered and it runs on everything. Fortnite's not really a co-op game in the same way, like, and Fortnite is server based. This is one thing that I'm curious about, is until very recently Redfall was touted to be an online only game with no explanation of why it required an online connection, and that's the thing that they're trying to fix. But if they came out and said to me, and this is a question that you can all answer again, if they came out and said to me that this game requires an online connection, even if you're playing on your own, because we have fundamentally built it for co-op, and the Xbox Live servers are handling the AI across the map while you are playing it. So we need this online connection so that you can play this game with all the bells and whistles and keep a decent performance profile. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Or would you still be mad that it's online only? Because for me, like, this is kind of what I dream of Microsoft doing with the Xbox Live Gold subscription. Like, we're paying for a good online service. You are Microsoft. You have the best possible infrastructure of any of these gaming companies. Use it to deliver us some really cool shit so that people don't expect. And it could be that these things are completely unrelated. These things are probably completely unrelated because Microsoft are not ambitious with their cloud technology and they don't want to give us anything for Xbox Live Gold. So most likely this game is 30 frames per second and was never intended to like run any part of its processes on any kind of server. But I can dream. I can dream. Painful Discourse, they clarified that they wanted telemetry to make adjustments on the fly. Wait a minute, what did they explain? You've confused me. Painful Discourse, what part did they explain? I've spoken too much and said too much nonsense. Sauron Grant, it's not just me. If you want a choice, you should get a PC. So, yes, I'm sure. You know when you could bust when your hands. It's gross. Ugh. Why is there 3 waiting rooms now? The reason for that, Patrick. So Patrick is talking about Discord. I invite people on this show to jump onto Discord, into the waiting room, and I drag you live when it's time to talk. And what I didn't want is an awkward waiting room moment where several of you are sitting in a waiting room not knowing whether you talk to each other or not. So I've set up multiple waiting rooms. You can stick yourself in any one of them. Waiting room B, waiting room 2, or waiting room Knuckles. And you can sit there comfortably waiting without anybody bothering you until it's time to come on the show and talk. That is the reason for multiple Discord waiting rooms. They clarified that they wanted telemetry to make adjustments on the fly about being online. That was their given reason for the online requirement, was just that they want real-time data. That's a shit excuse. Like a shit reason to me, because they can get that telemetry from players without requiring an online connection. They can just take it when you are online. So I don't really see what they have to rework in that case. But Chronic, someone likely said already, but just in case they haven't, you still need to update my YouTube address link on my Twitter profile. Thank you, Chronic. There will be various places where it's all balked and wrong. Twitter profile, yes, I will go there. I will do that right now while we're talking. Sod it. You guys just chat amongst yourselves for a minute. I've got a thing to fix. Twitter. That's why they're removing it online. You had to update your bio. Yeah, but the name is better, right? Like, it's easier to search. My YouTube channel wouldn't come up if you search for it directly, and now maybe it will. Simple words for simple people like myself. I say that, I can't concentrate. Profile. Edit profile. Here we go. Did that change? What is my YouTube thing now? At Game on Acer, probably. Let's change that. Game on Acer. Save. Thank you, Chronic. I have fixed it. Tony, where have you been? You don't like change. It's positive change. Positive change. Like, I did have Game on Acer on various platforms. I was Game on Acer on Xbox, and I was Game on Acer on Steam, and probably some other places. Game on Acer on my Ubisoft Plus subscription. I'm just lining it all up. Joys of not being on Twitter. Yes, Peter, it is for the best. Twitter is an incessant pile of piss. And that's difficult. Like, have you ever tried piling up piss before? It's like, doesn't work. It's a liquid. But Twitter, it manages it. It manages it and some. Tony's been here the whole time. I know you have, Tony. I know you have. So, Redfall. Are we disappointed? Are we getting it? Are we day one-ing it? I obviously have the option of playing on PC, and I'd be very surprised if it doesn't run at 60 frames per second over there. So, it's like not a very personal issue for me because I have options around it. But if you're an Xbox person, it's still on Game Pass, right? If you don't want the game anymore, it's tough. You've got it. It's on your Game Pass. Are you going to download it? Are you going to play it? It's an awkward one because it is multiplayer as well. So you want to play it while your friends are playing, if possible. Like, it's obviously you can play it on your own, but for a lot of people, it's going to be a group decision, right? You have to play it when your co-op buddies are online. Redfall, Redfail, all of these kind of names. You bit your tooth. You bit your tooth. You can't bite your tooth unless it's come out of your mouth. You have both, and you're going to start on Xbox. What other games this gen have been 30 frames per second? Did anyone play and enjoy Gotham Knights? Gotham Knights was a fairly nasty 30, like it didn't cover it up very well. Co-op's crap too, only progression for the host. Yeah. Redfall still, like, I still like the way that it looks, and I'm still totally not sold on the pacing of the combat and things like that, which has nothing to do with the 30 frames per second thing, but there just never seems to be that much going on. And when there's not much going on, the enemies are likely to be bullet spongy, so. But it looks nice. Having such a Like I said before, like a handcrafted world where every detail looks very deliberately placed. I'll give it a go. Progression for the host sounds worse for multiplayer. Yeah, but I might just play it on my own. No, that's not necessarily true. I might invite people in. I don't know what I'll do. It's very difficult to figure out how to play games. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to ignore it and play VR games. Who's with me? Nobody. Just me on my own. Fine. Day one for Redfall on PC Master Race. Yes, Tony has his nice gaming PC now, so he can lord it over everybody. JJ, you're going to play it solo. JJ, before you were harshly banned as a criminal, I asked if you're generally a subscription person. I know you're not into Ubisoft Plus because there's no value there, but are you a Game Pass person? Are you playing Redfall on Game Pass, or is this another one that you want to buy because you just because you prefer it? Patrick, all your loot and characters come back to your world with you. Time will tell. We'll see what kind of a story experience it is and how much that matters. Because Diablo has an unusual system of progression. Like, I don't even know how it works. Everybody, like my family, when I do this nice family Diablo 3 session, they all join my game and it follows through my progression curve. I don't know what happens if they go into their own game, if they're at the same point in the story, or if they play it separately. I don't think that's necessarily key for me, but in terms of a drop-in, drop-out online game, I can see how it is important in many scenarios. Eastside Vandal, you'll play the game solo to completion and then you'll jump into friends' games after for more loot. So do we know much about what happens after completion? Because they've said it's not a live service game, right? Does it have a fairly lengthy post-game, like, raiding, recyclable content kind of setup? I kind of don't want it to. Like, I don't look at Redfall and see a game that I'm going to want to keep on playing. I want to play through it and have some fun, but I don't want to keep going back to it. Live service is just like, oh, that's enough. I've had enough live service games. Thank you very much. JJ, you're going to play it via Game Pass. You may play it with your brother, but you find it hard to get people together at the same time. Beer, sofa, badger night Friday. Or whatever it was that was said earlier that confused me very much. Yeah, it is difficult to get people together regularly. Even in the same house, I've got my wife and 2 kids and Easter holidays, all the time in the world. We start playing Diablo. We're having a good time. Everyone's enjoying it or so, I think. And the next day it's like, hey, kids, want to play some Diablo? And one of them's like, no. And it's just like a spanner in the whole thing. None of us can do it. None of us can play. So how you manage that with like online friends and all the rest of it, living their own individual different timetables and lifestyles. Yeah, forever alone. That's how we play. After the first Diablo playthrough, just adventure mode all the way. Decado, it's the first playthrough for most of my family though. So, and I've never looked at adventure mode, but yeah, if I do more hardcore characters, they may well be adventure mode characters. Kick him out of the family. That's what you did with your brother. No, I really want to include him. Hell of a result. Wait a second. So Acid Player 30 frames per second on walking game third person is nothing like 30 frames per second in a first person shooter. You need that that frames per second for it to play well. Perfect example is Prey. It's night and day with a 60 frames per second patch. Yeah, Acid Player, I don't disagree. Like, first person shooters is the single most important, like more so than even fighting games and things, because you are controlling the panning of the camera so constantly, and there are certain speeds and things that motion blur is not going to cover. So it is a shame. They definitely know as well, because all of the trailers and things were 60 frames per second. The when I played Ghostwire Tokyo to get this footage, that dipped below 60 at some point, and it was so noticeable when it did. Mostly, so this is like on the PC with all the maximum settings and all the ray tracing and all of that stuff, and it mostly works fine. It felt really good at 60, but as soon as I had the VSync enabled, don't want any tearing, so as soon as it dipped below, it went down to 30. I'm playing on a crappy TV with no VRR, no good refresh rates for me, and it's very, very noticeable. I will say it's more noticeable on a keyboard and mouse than it is on a controller, but it is noticeable on a controller as well. So it is a shame. I don't know why a 30 frames per second mode exists on Redfall. I don't know why their target wasn't very firmly 60, but I also don't know what the problem is. Like, They obviously can't. It's a weird one because the performance profile on the Series S is actually a really quite high resolution for that console, which implies that it is not GPU load. Like it's not a simple case of lowering the resolution or knocking a couple of settings down to get 60 frames per second. There is something else bottlenecking that game, and I don't know what. I can only assume it is to do with the untethered co-op, the way that it is handling world simulation or whatever. But who knows? Optimization comes last in development. Some devs said that it was probably just that they stumbled on a problem with consistent 60. Bad things that they didn't have the balls to delay it again. Yeah, true, painful discourse. But it depends. I can't tell if like you're right. That's almost certainly what happened. But I don't know if it's if their intention all along was still to have a quality mode and a performance mode, which comes back to the conversation I was having with Sour and Grant as to whether these settings should exist within the game. Like, what is the value of a 30 frames per second mode in a game like that? It could be that they've just put it in as like a band-aid. We can't get 60, so let's just put this in for the time being because we fucked up. Or it could be that the intention all along was to offer both modes, and that's a bit weird. That's a bit weird. We'll never know unless they come out and tell us. Xbox needs to copy Nintendo. Their games have to be fully ready to ship before they even announce them. It's not like they're limited with options now and they need to shove it out the door. Yeah, Nintendo are better at keeping secrets than Xbox as well, though. But yeah, there's a lot to change and fix. And a lot of conversation around that I won't go into right now because then it'll be really long. It's 11. How did that happen? So the other topic that I had for today is a more broad one, and we can save it. I wanted to talk about the three main companies, so Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. What I actually want to see those companies do differently, and what you want to see them do differently, because there's a general like narrative that goes around that sees people want each one of them to be more like the other. So, talk more, it's really important. It's not really important, but we can do it. So there's particularly between Xbox and Sony. We're going to make this a short version of the topic before we do the questions and answers. So we're quickly moving away from Redfall, moving on to this topic. So Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, what do you want to see them do? Because like I say, when you look around at what people see and ask for, particularly between Microsoft and Sony, like the fan bases for those consoles, they want to see each of them basically be the same, which is to say, like people want PlayStation to follow Microsoft towards like day-and-date PC releases, services, subscriptions, and all these kind of things, and they want Microsoft to deliver like cinematic AAA games like Sony does, and kind of want these two companies to just be different faces of the same behavior. And Nintendo is a little bit different because they're Nintendo and nobody has very high expectations of them, but I include them in this anyway because they are part of the conversation. So I want to know. So Isla says you want Nintendo to be cheaper, PlayStation to be cheaper, and Xbox to have games that you want to play. Those are all fair things to say. Why don't you want Xbox to be cheaper? Nintendo ships fully finished games with a consistent 12 frames per second and 2011 graphics. Yeah. Sound Grant, you want Xbox to release high quality games which you expected before the Redfall, 30 frames per second. Acid Flare, you want Xbox to release quality games consistently and not pogo stick through a rake factory. See, this is true. So we'll start with Xbox then. So this is true. Like, I kind of consider this like bare minimum though. Releasing good games is like, of course they have to do that. That's the bare minimum for being in this space. They shouldn't exist here if they can't do that. So yes, I want them to do that. But I also want Microsoft to, at the moment their focus is very much on like bringing more people into gaming through like bringing it to more regions and delivering it through more platforms, through streaming and PC and Xbox and all of these things together. And I respect that. I like that. It's a good thing. But sometimes I think it hinders their ambition a little bit as well, trying to be everything for everyone all at once in the way that they are. I want Microsoft to flex being Microsoft more. They have like one of the biggest cloud platforms in the world that Sony and Nintendo can't touch, and I want to see more than just streaming. I want Microsoft to really lean into like using who they are to deliver bigger, better, more ambitious games, even if that means giving them to less people. So when I was talking about Redfall earlier, like the potential of it, using Xbox Live Gold and using their servers to deliver something new, it's because it's what I want Microsoft to do. And it doesn't have to be Redfall, that's not like a good example of it, but like the pipe dream of Crackdown from before it came out, and they were showing this destruction and these servers and all of these things coming. That concept of Crackdown is a thing that consoles can't do, and it's a thing that Microsoft can do. It was technically feasible. This is what I want for Microsoft. So, like, this is what I want them to give me. And I don't mind, they can charge for Xbox Live Gold if they do it. I'll accept it. Nobody wants to pay for Xbox Live Gold so that they can get, like, these shitty 2 games a month that they're giving us. But I will gladly pay for an Xbox Live Gold that gives me a different kind of games that I can't get elsewhere, that uses Microsoft's server infrastructure. And I know that, like, commercially it's difficult. We're not paying a lot, but we're paying some. So I want Microsoft to keep doing what they're doing, but also just, like, think more about these core gamers that want more. Because then, like, cloud gaming does nothing for me. Releasing games releasing Game Pass in 40 more countries this week does nothing for me. Like, I'm glad they're doing it, it's the right thing to do, but I want them to push things forwards in a way that only they can. They're not doing virtual reality, I hate them for that. Do something else exciting. Use your Microsoft powers to give me Crackdown 4 that does all the things that Crackdown 3 was supposed to do, even in single player. Give me like a huge, ambitious online RPG that does things I haven't seen before. That's what I want from Microsoft. New games, Peter, yeah. You don't want the same old shit rehashed over and over again. That's fair. Tony, no it isn't. Hard disagree. They will converge, but it is the virtual reality games that will be more interesting. There will be augmented reality games. So Tony has just said that augmented reality is the future of gaming and not virtual reality. Augmented reality is the future of the technology. Like, augmented reality will penetrate society way more so than virtual reality will. It has a bigger future in that sense. But purely gaming, no, you can't beat being transferred into a different world. Overlaying things in your world, no matter how good the quality. There will be examples. There'll be a Pokemon Go, a Minecraft Earth, like proper multiplayer overlaid, really fancy gaming experience. But virtual reality will always have more for gaming. But they will converge. It'll be the same headset. Get an augmented reality headset that can augment your whole reality. You've then got a converged augmented reality, virtual reality headset, and that is the future. Chronic, you really want augmented reality movies, an amazing augmented reality horror movie. There will be, like, I like augmented reality as a technology, I just don't consider it a replacement for full coverage VR. Tony, you guarantee it will take over and leave VR in the dust? I guarantee they'll be the same thing, Tony. It won't be left in the dust, it will be something that your augmented reality headset can deliver. You'll see. They will be the same. You can choose. Peter, you worked in the industry and it was a pure joy when someone showed you a new game. Good. Dylan B, reality games, augmented reality games could be fun. Replace board games that you can play with anyone on. Yeah, there are uses, Dylan. Like, I'm not against augmented reality. And I think there will definitely be some really cool use cases for it within gaming. It's just not going to replace Skyrim, right? You're not going to replace going into a Half-Life Alyx and stuff like that, or going into a Gran Turismo. You can't do that in augmented reality. Those kind of games will still exist and have their place and be more exciting. They had augmented reality movies in the 50s, blood splattering the audience with water and ghostflight. Yes. Pancake games are the reality. Deal with it. I do deal with it, Sauron Grant. I've been playing Diablo 3 with my family. Bring back the iToy. Cameras haven't gone anywhere either. Cameras are still around. Dylan B, you could roll a virtual dice and see if you die by a dragon priest, though. Yes, you could. I'm all for, like, games like that. Like, Demeo is the example that people go to, but Demeo is very small in scope and scale. I like Demeo as what it is, but there's so much potential for that genre of game to be dramatically more than it is. If you don't know Demeo, by the way, it's like a tabletop and you can play it in virtual reality or augmented reality. If you would like a fake table in front of you and to be able to see your real house, you can do that. But the Quest Pro is not a good mixed reality headset, so I wouldn't recommend it. Samba de Amigo. Why would you need a camera for that when you could hold actual maracas and play it on the Dreamcast as God intended? Samba de Amigo. Psh. Imagine trying to play a maraca game without even holding maracas. That's ridiculous. Connect with VR, how good would that be? Sauron Grant, I would very much like, not necessarily Connect, but Connect would fit the bill. I would like virtual reality to be able to use Connect or another external system like that for body tracking. That would be cool. That was a great game, yes. All the, like, yeah, wacky, ambitious games that make no sense, but yes. You like Sega Superstars iToy, AR Chow Garden. You're allowed to like these things, but you're not allowed to like Samba de Amigo with no maracas. That's just silly. Chronic, you're still waiting on news for the Index 2. Yes, I'm not sure that's what it'll be called, but you never know. Valve Decard, or whatever it's called. I'm also very much interested to see what direction Valve are going to push things, and almost more importantly, I'm very curious to see what flagship title Valve bring out alongside it, because you've got to imagine they've got the next Half-Life Alyx in the pipeline. I'd still quite like it to be Artifact, which is a really weird opinion of mine, but I think card games could be brilliant in virtual reality. It's not the big seller though. They need, I don't know, another Alyx basically. The Valve indices, I hope not, Patrick. Dylan, you think the VR looks really fun. It's just not as user-friendly as you like before you get one. It's nice to have wireless stuff and super easy to use. Yeah, it's obviously going to get better over time. Wireless is a big one. Like, it's a really big one. So, I do not begrudge anybody waiting until it is where they want it to be. At the same time, it is freaking awesome. I love my VR stuff, and I'm going to play so much of it. Give you a warning before questions because you need to pee. Questions are coming up real soon. Let's do Sony next. You've got time, Isla. You do that. So let's do Sony. What do you want to see Sony do differently, better, like leveraging who they are and what they've done in the past? For me, Sony is like, I like what Sony have done with their console this generation, but they are much room for improvement in terms of like the stuff they do for the consumer. And delivering games is really important, and they're doing that, and I like that. Their hardware is good this time around. They're giving me virtual reality, and I love them for it, but they are still arseholes in so many ways. So for Sony, I don't need them to follow Game Pass. I don't need them to follow service games. I don't particularly want them to follow Microsoft into that area. I want Microsoft to do that, but it's not like I don't want Microsoft and Sony to be the same company. So I would very much like Sony to sort out things like their refund policy, sort out things like charging 70 quid for The Last of Us Part 1 while it's 50 quid on PC, like a year after it came out. I want all of that kind of shit fixed from them. And I want them to keep doing PlayStation exclusives. Does that make sense? Like, if you've been here before and you know my opinion on exclusives, then that will make sense. But if not, if you're not too familiar with previous things that I've said, then you'll probably think I'm like being weird there. I have always said on exclusives for the longest time, I don't like exclusives. Conceptually, they're very rarely a good thing. But the one time where exclusives are a good thing is when they uniquely leverage hardware. It's the only time that I care to hear that something is exclusive. Not because it's been paid for, not because it's like part of a console war thing, not because they want to, like, I don't know, nothing sinister, but if you are uniquely leveraging hardware, so in PlayStation's case, a really obvious example would be PlayStation making a PlayStation VR game. That's going to be exclusive because it's virtual reality and Xbox don't do it. I really would like Sony. It's an advantage that they have on Microsoft because Microsoft have gone all in on giving their games everywhere. So when Microsoft make a Redfall or whatever game they're making, they're going to be making that to work across the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X and a range of PCs. And that's just Microsoft. It's who they are. It's a decision that they've made. So there's no reason for Microsoft to do an exclusive really, because it just doesn't fit their identity anymore. But for Sony, they haven't gone that route, so I want them to make the most of the PlayStation 5 and do what they do. Like, I don't want The Last of Us Part 3 to release on PlayStation 5 and also release on PC and be built down to a level like we've seen how The Last of Us Part 1 just released on PC. I don't want Sony to broaden their development pipeline to cover a range of hardware at the expense of the quality of what they do for their console. So for Sony, I want them to, again, like much as I want Microsoft to leverage what they're good at, I want Sony to leverage what they're good at, if that makes sense. And I don't want them to do exclusives for the sake of it, right? If their games are of scope that it makes sense for them to be across loads of platforms, put it on loads of platforms. But I want them to keep doing actual things as well. And obviously for me, like, virtual reality is the best example. Please put some of your first party studios onto PlayStation VR 2 games. I'll be very happy. I didn't want to make it like a VR thing actually, but the other thing that I want from Sony is I want them to actually speak about what they're doing in the future. Because Sony, I don't mind the fact that they're less talkative than Microsoft. I don't mind the fact that they're not on Twitter and all the rest of it, and they're not like having lunch with people and all that stuff. But they are asking you to buy quite expensive bits of hardware, and they should be telling people what you're going to get for that over the next few years. I don't like the fact that people ask me if PlayStation VR 2 is going to be supported in a year's time, and I say, I don't know, I hope so. Hope so. It'd be nice if Sony said yes. Do what they do, fleece people. No, Sauron Grant. So that was the third thing I want them to fix. I want them to stop trying to horribly fleece people. I want them to fix a lot of the things where they're negative. I want them to embrace things like crossplay and definitely stop doing timed exclusives of third-party content. All of that kind of stuff is shite. I don't want Sony to do that. I also don't want them to follow Microsoft so hard that they do day and date on PC and lose something in the process. I just want them to be careful of that. 60 frames per second patch for Bloodborne and do a PC port. I'm all in favour of them doing PC ports, by the way. I don't want them to change their development pipeline so that it makes sense as a business. If Sony are at all smart, they will change their development pipeline and they will develop things with a multi-platform viewpoint to release on PC, whether it be day and date or whether it be later. They will develop with that in mind. I don't want them to. I want them to forget the PC while they're making the games, do their best with their console, and then let Nixis deal with it. Or whoever else they want to port their games. Which would be a dumb move on their part, but dumb moves that give me better things, I'm all in favour of. You'd like them to make a huge open world multiplayer RPG, something Skyrim. What, Sony? They're doing a Horizon online RPG. That's your best bet. But I think it's going to be quite cartoony from what I gather. Stop making the exact same game with different window dressing. Branch out and give us the widget. Yeah, so Sony needs to embrace their past a lot more. They definitely play it too safe in terms of what they make. So I would like them to change away from the third-person cinematic sad dad game. And I would like something that Xbox very much have over PlayStation is all of the back compat stuff. PlayStation probably have a stronger history than Xbox, but it's not preserved in a reliable way. So if I'm looking at buying a game that's a bit older, I'd absolutely buy it on Xbox over PlayStation because it will work best on Xbox. Like, it's more reliable in that sense. Sony always comes across like a perfume company. We create art. I want to play games, not watch a 30-minute movie every 10 minutes. They used to create games, right? They've never been a nice company. Like, Sony are just, they're not a nice company, and they never have been. They weren't nice in the old PlayStation days, but they definitely made a more broad variety of games. They could definitely use getting back to a bit of that. I understand like the risk of budgets and things, but in a sense that's something that Microsoft are better positioned to exploit now with the way they've moved over to subscription services. But yes, I'd like Sony to do more diversity in what they do. I'd like them to do what's right more often. No timed exclusives, no terrible refund policies, no blocking crossplay, none of this kind of shit that they do. But I'd also like them to keep focusing on PlayStation, as it were. And then there's Nintendo. Little Big Planet 4. Bleh. Bleh. We could talk about Dreams. We're not going to. Too late. Then there's Nintendo. Nintendo are pricks. I want them to keep doing what they're doing, but remember that some people like to play games on a TV. That's what I want for Nintendo. I don't mind that their games are like shit and small and made for children. I do mind that the Switch is the only way to play them, and the Switch is terrible on a TV. So I'd like Nintendo to stay. I'd like Nintendo to stay being Nintendo, and make it work on my TV nicer. Make it work with surround sound. All of these kind of things that are just like, this is what we do today. Nintendo, come back. Come to the future with us. Sony, I want them to be Sony and leverage what they're good at and not chase the things that they're not good at so much. And I want them to be a nicer bunch of people. And Microsoft, I just want them to put their ambitions, be a little bit more broad in their ambitions. So I like that they're trying to deliver things everywhere to everyone, but I don't feel like they use their might or their money particularly effectively. Like, they could do more than they are. They're Microsoft. Show us. That's what I want from the three of them. Chronic, you want a powerful 4K Nintendo? It will be lovely. See, I don't need Nintendo to give me hardware that's going to play third-party games as such, though. I don't need them to like make another a third PlayStation 5 Xbox Series console. I just need them to cater for TVs in some way. I'm fine with my third-party games. I'm not going to play Call of Duty anyway, but if I was, I'd play it like on console, on PC, whatever. I don't need that from Nintendo. They can carry on making their... Well, I'd like them to kill Mario forever, obviously, but that is a very selfish one. Kill Mario. Zelda's alright, that one can stay. Make more Splatoon games. Make them work on a TV. We can deal with virtual reality later. For now, catch up with pancake games, please. Nintendo is awesome since the N64. They keep trying new ideas, and 95% they work great. Do they, though? Or do they just keep making Mario? Mario's not a new idea. Mario should be dead. You was about to say kill Mario. You love Mario. Xbox needs to prove the power and the tools are... In fact, Tyler, you promised a Mario review, but it's too late. You'll have to wait until next week now, because we're at the end. Patrick, you'd like Nintendo to have 3 hardware SKUs this next go around. Switch 2, Switch Lite 2, and a better system more geared towards playing on TVs. Do they need... If on the Portal side of things, do they need a new system? Like, aren't the Portal people happy? It's just us TV folks that want a better system, isn't it? Mario is awesome. No Kratos. That's what you get from me. You get a firm no. Mario sucks. Mario was awesome. Mario belongs in the previous century. Mario should not exist in this century. Should have been left way behind. You got scared. That's okay. We don't need Mario now. There will be other opportunities. Discord can wait for next week when I've got all the timer and things. Mario survival shock horror game. Peach goes serial killer. No, Acid Flare. I don't even want that. I want Mario to just not exist anymore. Mario is not still good, Peter. Wario is your favourite. You can... Like, he's got more personality than Mario, I guess. The games could start to run at 720p 60 frames per second. Wild, Patrick. Calm yourself down. Yeah, Microsoft's the main one. Like... And they might be doing it, right? They've got a whole team dedicated to cloud native games. That's quite experimental, but I want the teams that came up with things like Illumi Room, I want them to exist. Keep doing wild, wacky things. Keep giving me things I haven't seen before. That's what I want from all of them, really. Keep giving me things. That's the ending. Peach wears him like a tanuki suit. Then she will become the new Mario, and I will have gained nothing. Film was fine. There is the review for Mario. Cancel that. You loved the evil looking character, just like Neo Cortex. Fair. Mario wasn't a compelling character in the movie. But how could he be? It's like based on Mario. Would have been a weird scenario to make him a compelling character. Because he's not, he's Mario. In the movie... Anyway, let's do the questions nice and quick, because this ran longer than I expected. I was after a short one today. I'm always after a short one, thinking maybe I'll get some games in. But I don't know. I don't even know what I talked about. I'm sure I said some things that I didn't mean throughout this one as well. Made it sound like Sony are nice. I don't mean that. Sony are dickheads. But they do give VR, so all is forgiven. You're still on the toilet. Okay. What else have we got? So we did Nintendo. What do we want from Valve? More virtual reality and games. Why aren't Valve giving us games? They're Valve. They can make games. Everybody loves Valve games. We know they're working on VR stuff. Give me more. What do we want from Prey Dog? Keep doing what you're doing, Prey Dog. Prey Dog's a hero. If you don't know who Prey Dog is, that's fine. Prey Dog is a modder that's making all of my games virtual reality for me. What do we want from Meta? Music just suddenly got loud. What do we want from Meta? To accidentally keep making VR games. To go back to supporting PC VR games. To stop chasing the metaverse, but for some reason still fund virtual reality. Unlikely, because the metaverse has always been their end game, but not to die, Patrick. Oh, and to release, if they're going to die, they need to move all of the PC virtual reality games onto Steam. So Asgard's Wrath, Stormlands, Lone Echo 2, Robo Recall, Article 1, Wilson's Heart. All of these games that I haven't finished yet, they need to go to Steam before Meta come out of the game, right? Because I need to finish them all one by one, put them on my done list. Split off the gaming division to another company. They don't really have much of a gaming division. They bought like 2 or 3 studios. DisplayPort on Quest 3. Yeah, wires, but I don't care. I know, I get you. I know some people really want that kind of thing. It's a big talking point whenever there's VR hardware to get that uncompressed signal, but I'm all about the wireless. Compression artifact. I noticed a few of them in Asgard's Wrath. Like, it was a thing, but that's still over like crappy Wi-Fi 5 virtual desktop mode. So it can do better. I don't need a wire. Wireless tech is pretty much there already. Not that I'm against the port being on there for the people that do want to use it, obviously. It doesn't do me any harm having a port. Sauron only play on Xbox after falling for the PlayStation hype last year. No interest in PC or handheld. So you fell for the PlayStation hype last year. Do you not feel like you've fallen for Xbox hype this gen, or is it actually delivering what you want? And how did PlayStation let you down last gen? What was last gen? That was a PlayStation 4, wasn't it? Some of this music's terrible, and nobody's identified it yet because you haven't. This is just horrible noises now, and I apologise. You want Spy Kids glasses from Meta? Well, they might go that way. They are exploring the mixed and augmented reality side of things. Space Citizen, you prefer wireless too, but you don't have the best setup. Some games would be better wired. So I have like the router that I connect to wirelessly for VR doesn't have anything else wireless on it. I only have the wireless enabled for the sake of virtual reality, and I have a good stable connection. So I'm all right, Jack. And still, even with my weird pulley system, still kind of struggling with the PlayStation wire a bit. So Xbox has never made it so far. He just never liked the PlayStation ecosystem. What about the ecosystem? Enjoy the rest of it. Yeah, I'm just ending now anyway, Kratos, but thank you for stopping by. Enjoy your food and wherever you're going, unless it's somewhere terrible. Do your best to enjoy it anyway. Chronic, Xbox is so close to delivering everything. If only they could get their act together with their own games. Yes, not everything, because they don't do virtual reality and it's precious to me. I don't want Xbox to do virtual reality on Xbox. I want Xbox to do virtual reality on PC though. I want them to support it with the games that they have and the teams that they have that do it. But yes, they do a lot right. They're almost there. They've just got some very fundamental things that they still need to fix, yes. Questions are ready. You've been playing Vertigo 2 wireless. I must play that. Hitches? You're curious. I don't get hitches wirelessly at all. But you did say that you've not got an ideal setup for it, so that might make some sense. Okay, Isla has asked, why isn't the video out yet? Hashtag release the Isla cut. Isla, I would love to be able to answer that one. It might be out by now. I don't know. So for those wondering what that question means, there is a nice virtual reality video all done and edited. It has been done and edited for almost a week now. He's waiting on the Game On Daily channel for Gaz to publish it, which I haven't spoken to him today. I assume he's waiting for the perfect time per analytics, but if it takes much longer, I just go on and publish it. It's fine. Which is a thing that I can do. So that's the answer to that question. But everybody do keep an eye on the Game On Daily channel, because it's a video where I'm in it and Isla's edited it, so it's more fun than just like me. And there will be more videos like that coming. Peter Morland has asked, do you think that other streamers in general appreciate during a couple of hours of streaming that viewers go for wee breaks, or do you think most believe we all watch from start to finish? Peter, yeah. I am always constantly surprised that anybody is here at all, so I would assume that people come and go and do what they want. Yeah. It's a thing that I'm curious about, like how many people, like what you're doing besides being here as well. Like, are you playing games on the side? Are you eating dinner? Are you doing work? Are you like fully engaged and trying to join in with the conversations? Are there people here that haven't said a word and don't want to because like they're shy or whatever? I don't know. It's definitely not a problem for me. I'm grateful that anyone comes in for even seconds of their time. The fact that you're all here week in, week out for this, and when I'm streaming games and whatever else it may be, is much appreciated. Do other streamers in general appreciate it? I'm gonna be honest, that's too broad a brush to paint them with. I think an awful lot of people are dickheads in streaming and outside of streaming in general, but there are surely some good people amongst them as well. So I don't know what they think. I've seen streamers like get properly angry that someone would lurk in their stream, like be mad that someone would be watching and not talking, or be mad that someone would be watching and not like handing over money and things like that. And I don't understand that attitude at all. I understand wanting money, like people want money, but being mad at people for not talking is just weird. Like, nobody has to talk if they don't want to, as long as the people here are having a good time. I'm fully happy with that. JJ, fully engaged and then off to bed. Don't worry, sleep time is real soon. This has gone on like an hour longer than I intended, so we're very nearly there. Monster Train, chill and relax so that you can focus on the chat. Acid Flare, that's interesting in itself that you have specific games that are like, this is podcasting games time, whereas maybe if you were playing Ghostwire Tokyo or something that has more voice, you do that on a different occasion. That's cool. Chronic, you're normally a proud lurker, usually only engaged when you're passionate about the subject or angry about it. It's fair enough. Like, lurking makes a lot of sense. I would be more inclined to lurk as well. The only, like, if I'm watching a stream and I say anything, it's mostly just so that the person that is there knows that they do have some support or whatever. I'm not much of a typer otherwise. So lurking's cool. I get it. It's fine. Sauron Grant is apologizing for being a dirty old man. What's he said? I don't know. I don't see it. But let's do the next question. If there are more. What? I need to add the cut with Isla's utility belt. I don't know what that means. It won't let you. Oh no, the questions are broken. Can I progress it? I don't think I can. No, I can only dismiss it. So the next question. When you look at your regular crew, what do you think? Are you my regular crew? Bunch of sad fucks, smart people on the net liking the best indie channel. Don't give a shit, you get to stream VR and chat to the pancake gamers. What do I think, Peter? I don't fully understand all of you. Like I have like dramatically low self-esteem and don't understand why anyone will be here to watch this. At the same time, I do put a lot of effort into it, and when I look at some other content that people do go and watch, I don't understand why people go and watch other stuff either. So it's a mix. Depends on my mood. Like, I'm surprised that you're all here. I'm glad that you enjoy this and genuinely grateful that you come here and talk to me. I don't know. Like, definitely not a bunch of sad fucks. Like, you can be smart people. I could not call myself the best indie channel, but I appreciate the sentiment. And the VR and the talking is good. Like, sometimes I don't feel like it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm naturally very much an introvert and don't talk. I'd hide away in a corner and stay very silent. But when I do push onto it and stream, do these shows and do the streams and talk to everyone, I have a good time doing that. So again, like, appreciation from me, that's what I have for you as my answer there. Thank you, Asiflare Chronic. I am honest, don't know about knowledgeable, but I'll try. I'd say, like, to talk myself up, and this is a trait that I find important in other people as well, is I will always be very open when I am not knowledgeable. I will very much recognize and highlight and tell you limits of my knowledge so that I don't mislead anyone thinking that I'm some kind of expert that I'm not. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people claim a lot of expertise that they don't have. So I give myself credit for that. I am honest and I will always tell you what I don't know. Thank you, JJ. I'm glad. Like, it does mean a lot. So thank you. Minecraft Legends stream on Tuesday. Yes, Isla. We can do that. So everyone, there's probably probably 2 streams on Tuesday, because I probably will still do a virtual reality one in the day. Depending on your bedtime, we'll do an evening Minecraft Legends stream. That is the plan. I'm quite curious about Minecraft Legends. I do want to play it. Even if you weren't like waving a Minecraft stick at me, I would be trying that one. So yes, you are very welcome to come along and we will stream that. It will be fun. Or it'll be terrible, but it'll still be fun. Sauron Grant, the new Zelda game preview looked like a poor copy of Phoenix Rising. You know Zelda was first, but are you correct? I haven't watched it, Sauron Grant. I'm going to say you're not correct. It's an intricate hybrid of Immortals Phoenix Rising and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which is the game every Nintendo fan wants. And I'm saying that without seeing it, so I believe. Honesty is the biggest flaw you can have, Sauron Grant. I'm very aware that any sense of like integrity and decency is a hardship, and yet I'm sticking with it anyway. Like, it's a choice. The payoff for it will be abject failure and death, but it is better than being a sellout or a shill or a dickhead. So that's my choice. I'm sticking with it. It looks bollocks. Minecraft Legends, you reckon it looks bollocks? I'm interested because it doesn't really look like anything else. It's still, I'm not sorry either. I'm not a fan of the Minecraft universe. I don't like the Minecraft square block nonsense look of it. I understand the reasons and the root of it and why it looks the way that it does, but I'm not a fan of it. And I don't like the world. But I am a fan of trying something that I haven't really played before. And Minecraft Legends is like a new kind of subgenre that I'm quite happy to try. Oh, you're talking about Zelda, not Minecraft. Oh no, I put my foot in it for no reason. Sauron Grant, you set me up. But honesty, I was being honest. I don't understand the Zelda games. Like I said on Go Live, I don't know that world. I know they're set in Hyrule, or they used to be on the Super Nintendo. I assume they still are. I don't know what Ganondorf is. I don't know what Link is. Like, they're characters from Hyrule. Are they the same species? Are they grown-ups? Are they children? Is there time travel? Is there like space aliens? Is there what is the world and what is the game and what is the setting? Why are there these creatures? None of it makes sense to me, and I'm not convinced that there is any like decent level of writing to bring it all together. But I would one day like to play it and find out. I'm just waiting on that discount from Nintendo and I'll be all over it. Patrick, you're not into Minecraft, but you might give Legends a shot. I'm definitely going to give it, I mean, already committed to playing it with Isla on Tuesday, but definitely going to give it a shot. Next question. Stop bad-mouthing your favourite game. I'm not bad-mouthing it. I just don't see, like, I do understand the appeal of Minecraft, but it's not the world or the art style to me. I don't appreciate those things. And I know you like the art style, but not for me. Not for me. Honesty is your ongoing flaw. Good, Sauron Grant. I will always respect that. And always try, like, if there are opportunities. I'm not powerful enough to reward good people. But I like to think that I would always lift up the decent people ahead of the people that aren't. And I am obviously ultimately the judge of such things. I can just look at someone and tell if they're an asshole or not. Next question. Xbox is suffering from 30 frames per second. We should console it. We should console it. Well, Sauron Grant, you said your piece. I'm all in favor of like paying for frames per second. Charge me 60 quid for 60 frames per second and 30 quid for 30 frames per second. That sounds fair, right? We're getting half the content out of the screen. Which is a stupid idea that nobody should take seriously, by the way. Please don't run away with that and suggest that I actually think it, but... Next question. You're allowed to put your jokes in there. You're allowed to criticize whatever platform you want and poke them. I don't read your prompts for the Q&A box. No. I do sometimes when when I see them. Do I think that Xbox problems could be the implementation of the Xbox velocity architecture rather than management? Not specifically the velocity architecture, but DirectX, yes. I think the Xbox problems are Microsoft's broad scope. I think the hardware is what it is. It's powerful. Like, the numbers aren't lying there. But everything that Microsoft write is targeting that hardware and the Series S, and like the Series S is a good console. And an array of PCs across NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD hardware. Probably also DirectX runs on like ARM processors, I would think, and everything in between. Probably like obscure Chinese only like hardware that doesn't come in this direction. Those unique graphics cards that you'll never hear of or see run. DirectX 12 probably runs on those as well. This is, I think, Microsoft's biggest problem. It is a problem that slayed Naughty Dog. Not even Naughty Dog could make a game run properly on DirectX 12. Again, caveat, I've not made a game on DirectX, but this is my gut feeling of what Microsoft's problem is in terms of performance on that console. Peter Morland, you appreciate most of my opinions that I've extolled over the last couple of years. I have a decent thing on the pulse, but thankfully, I'm not 100%. Nintendo is still good. Peter, I know you're ill, but I think you've had enough beer now. You're saying crazy shit. You meant velocity architecture with DirectX. You just think that management complaints is lazy. Yeah, the velocity architecture though is specifically around like I/O. It's the moving stuff from drive to memory and all the rest of it. Horrible music. I'm sorry. I'm going to spoil the OST. No, I'm not. Someone might watch after the fact and tell me what the OST is, so I'm going to resist telling you what it is while it scrapes horrible violin noises in my ears. Yeah, I don't think it is specifically velocity architecture. I think if you took that out of it entirely, you should still be able to get performant games in most scenarios. That's very specific in what it does. Yeah. That'll do as an answer. Yours will be intentionally chopped and screwed. Oh no, I've missed something again. I should be careful. Nintendo is pants, never used it and never liked it. You tell him, Sauron Grant. Tom has been at the party all evening. Welcome, Tom. Very well. We are just rounding up, finishing off with the last couple of questions. Did I see this Suicide Squad has been delayed until February 2024? I have Warner Brothers come out and confirmed that now. There were rumors of a delay, and the legendary Jeff Grubb said that he thought it might be until 2024. Jeff Grubb never misses. He knows everything, and unlike certain other people that I've criticized in the past, he typically doesn't talk about it until it's already been spoken about. But when he does talk about it, you know he knows. He knows and he's right, so... I am intentionally slow and choppy. That's fine. That's my regular speed. IGN said it's official, so it is official now. It has happened. It has been announced. We'll be curious to see how much they can shift and re-engineer Whether they can actually turn that into a game people want, we will find out. Next question. Ooh. No worries, Peter. Like I say, we're just finishing off, so you have a good night. I will catch you on another one. Hope you feel better and learn to hate Nintendo. Am I aware of the nuclear war sirens test soon? I was, Wayne, but I deliberately forgot because it will make it more fun. And more genuine. Like, if it's a surprise, then it'll be more real. I don't want it to be real. Fucking nuclear siren. No, when is it, Wayne? For those that don't know, there is a test across the whole of the UK, or our nuclear, or it's not specifically nuclear war, but that's the most obvious example. Our disaster alert system will be sending out text, radio, TV, probably WhatsApp signals. I don't know. Like, there'll be TikTok videos probably alerting people to a fictional disaster just to test the system. And it is on, I heard Sunday there, maybe it's in Sunday. Acid Flare is the perfect time to attack the UK. Everybody will just be like, it's drill time. Don't do it, please. Thank you. There's a lot to dislike about the UK, but you do have to remember, I'm here. Oh no, wait, that's more of a reason to do it. Don't do it anyway. Am I aware? No, that's the same question. Next question. Thank you, Sauron Grant. That's the vibe I'm going for. Especially when Peter's on the beers, it is like sitting in the pub with your mates. Absolutely. In fact, it's not anymore, but before this show was called Q&A, so before it ever had a single episode, it was called Tavern Talk. It was set in the Sea of Thieves Tavern. It was a pub talk. It became Q&A so before it started. And here we are, 41 episodes in. There's a little bit of trivia for you. Tom, it's all right. It was a terrible stream. There'll be more great ones in future. We've had a nice time though. Tony, augmented reality will overtake virtual reality to the point that VR companies will make AR glasses. Tony, you can't take what I told you and come back to me. They will converge. VR companies are already making like steps towards augmented reality glasses. Those augmented reality glasses will give you brilliant virtual reality experiences. Then I don't know. That's all I have for you, Tony. I look forward to it. We can talk about it more when it happens. Many subs acquired. Well, that's awesome. I knew changing like the name of the channel would have a positive effect on everybody but you, who was devastated by change. Terrible Nice Time is your favorite kind of stream. Well, in that case, I'm sorry that you missed most of it. Next question, please. Did we do this? Did we do this? Did we do what? We've done Tony's question, the augmented reality one, yes. I don't like... She don't like to change her hair colour. That's a change she does like. But everything else needs to stay stable to support that. Keep everything the same so that hair colour can change dramatically on a regular basis. Right, oh, that's a question from Isla. The other day, a guy in the shoe shop was talking to Jack loads in detail about shoes, and at the end of the monologue, told him about his YouTube channel. Please tell me this is true and not an awful pun. Is he a shoe tuber? Is it like an ASMR try on this pair of shoes YouTube channel? Is there now a video of Jack trying on shoes in like stereo audio with the laces being done up right by the microphone? This turned into a question for you. While you answer it, please also bring up the next question. Sauron Grant, you don't want augmented, you want full virtual reality games before you go back in. Ace Combat VR is still the best VR, it's just too short. Oh, Ace Combat, entirety of the game will be in VR this year via My Hero Prey Dog. But there are other aeroplane games available. Jack won't remind you what the channel was called. That's okay. I don't want to check out a YouTuber. Thank you very much. Thank you for the story. Wait a minute. KY's not even here and he's asking questions. KY asked, you often say that you're not a trophy hunter, but in your Stanley Parable playthrough, didn't you knock on a door 50 times to get that one trophy? I don't believe I did unless Isla instructed me to while we were on stream. Also, I played Stanley Parable on PC where I care even less about achievements. So I'm going to say no, KY. But I'm going to remind everyone, please play Stanley Parable as your homework before next week. Stanley Parable is like 20 quid on every platform. You can probably get it cheaper if you look around a bit. Won't take you long. It's an experience you should go through. Tony will not play Stanley. Stanley will play Tony. That's the point. Go on, Tony, do it. You like the Doctor Who VR game? I've never heard good things about it and never tried it. I'll put it on my list of VR games that I should finish. There's another one. Do you think... Wayne has said, do you think we should let's go lick the world? Joe Biden news speech. I have not seen it. Bless his senile soul. I don't have strong thoughts or feelings on Joe Biden. But he does make for some unfortunate interview moments. Not like George Bush levels of hilarious interviews, but some for the ages. Tom, in real life, paper aeroplanes are your favorite kind of aeroplane game. You can probably do those in VR and then you'll be saving the environment by using less paper and just consuming loads of electricity. Very eco-friendly way to do everything. Who's Joe Biden? This is not a political broadcast, Tony, so I can't really tell you. I don't know. Next question, please. Is almost as Prince Philip before he died, making so many bad comments. Joe Biden and Dolly... Oh no, I'm going to say it wrong. Dalai Lama should get together. Sounds like they'd have fun. I don't think Joe Biden is young enough for the Dalai Lama. Doctor Who VR game. Yes, Space Zenon has given feedback that I'm more accustomed to for that one. Not a fan of it, but can't take long to finish, right? It's only a little experience. Sauron Grant, tell you that you have to buy the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation VR 2 to play the full Ace Combat 7 in VR without telling you. No, Sauron Grant, I'm afraid that is not the solution. You need to get a high-end PC and a PC VR headset, and then you need to wait patiently for Prey Dog's Unreal Engine mod with the rest of us. And then you can play so many things in VR, including the entirety of Ace Combat 7. If you then wait a little bit longer, I'm sure somebody will mod it even further. There are other plane games that aren't Ace Combat, including one that is coming to PlayStation VR pretty soon. I can't remember what it's called though. If you like flying around, there are definitely options, but PC VR is probably your best bet. Assuming you've got unlimited funds to buy it, but everybody has unlimited funds, so that's not a problem. Please stop reminding you. No. We're not going to carry on with that. And that was the last of the questions as well, so we will leave it on that destructive carnage ending. Sauron Grant, you're 59 already. You'll be dead by then. 59, you've got a while yet. But you've only got 1 year left of treadmill time. The VR treadmill that I run around on is recommended for ages 14 to 60. So you are running out of treadmill time. We're all running out of treadmill time though, right? You just got a little less than I have. Painful Discourse, this is too late for you. 5 hours of sleep left. We are finishing now anyway, but thank you, Painful Discourse, for coming by after your party. Get the sleep that you can. Have a good night. Have a good day tomorrow, and I'll catch up with you on another one. And in fact, that's it for the entirety of the show. So I'm going to say thanks to everybody for coming by. And it's not raining anymore. That's nice. I don't need the umbrella, but I can't take it down because it's obviously not a real umbrella. But I know. Why do I put so much effort into these things? The umbrella has drips of rain on it that move. I don't know if you can even see it, or if like the stream is too low quality for that to come through properly. The things, the things. So, yeah, if you are watching after the fact, by the way, hello, thanks for sticking by this long. Leave a comment to say, I am a soldier who sat through almost 3 hours of this shit. Be a soldier, be a hero. Leave me a comment, let me know. Nathan Martin, YouTube notifications. You'll catch up watching this one later. No worries, Nathan. It's been an awful show and a wonderful time. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your afternoon, night, morning, afternoon, wherever it is, whatever it is where you are. Play some games, have some fun, and we will catch up soon. I still don't have a good like punchy outro saying, so I'll take suggestions for that in the comments as well. See you next time.
Game on daily.